This episode of Clear Shots is presented by the Impulse Podcast Network. Check out impulsepodcasts.com for more info.
Welcome to the Clear Shots Podcast with Seth Skinner and Jake Jones.
Yo, yo.
What's up, everybody?
How you guys doing? It's about time we did this again.
Yeah. Well, it's about time we did one in general. It's been over a month, probably.
It's been since September.
Since Jake Bear.
Oh my God, I forgot we had Jake on.
Yeah, that was the last one.
It's like September 10th.
It's understandable though. It's a
weird
year. It's a weird time.
It's a weird year, and also I don't know. We don't really have an excuse, really.
The only excuse is just
I don't feel like
availability.
making time for it as much as I used to. That's really
what it is.
all it is.
Really, what threw things off too was we were doing it always on Tuesdays, and then we were like, "Hey, let's move Dungeons and Dragons to Tuesdays."
Yeah.
And then,
Well,
then I also you don't live near me anymore. I can't walk to your house anymore.
yeah, that's true.
That's the biggest thing.
Well, you can.
I mean, I won't.
Yeah.
You can, but it's across the whole city.
Yeah,
and it's not working anymore. Yep. Literally
like-
across the whole city. Yeah.
Thank you. Because before it was, I lived on, I lived where I live, and it was only like
Definitely we should just give our addresses out.
I almost gave out
And
at
our
least
old
my
ones.
street, but
Yeah, don't do that.
no.
No,
But I only live I used to only live like a block away,
a block away.
and then I
It was
moved,
close, and I lived right down the street. And
and then I moved to the
Yeah, it
west
was-
side, but I was still only like maybe a few blocks away. But now I'm like half a mile away.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
So I am Seth. Which one do I use?
Pajama
Tasty.
pants?
Tasty. How about tasty?
Seth,
Tasty?
Tasty Skinner.
Okay.
That's a good one. I like that one.
I'm Jake Tasteful Jones.
Oh shit. Tasty.
What would
Going
that
with
make
tasty.
me? Dave,
Tasty, tasteful,
tasteless.
tasteless. That's not bad. That's a little bit. I mean, it's
I don't
not,
think I'm.
I don't
I
think
hope
you're
I'm not
tasteless.
tasteless.
Yeah, that's not positive, really. It's more of a negative.
I don't have that great of a. I don't taste things too well, or I have no sense of smell.
Oh, that's good. That's the first sign I had COVID.
No, I never do. I haven't had a sense of smell in years.
Patient
so.
zero.
Yeah.
No, dude. I mean, I had major reconstructive surgery on my face.
Oh,
the
that's
left
right.
side of my nose is all fucked up from it, and I smoked cigarettes and shit for years. So
That's always good.
And I've done, recreational things that are damaging to my nose in the past, a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
I've definitely
You don't
done
smoke anymore,
damage.
though, do you?
No.
I was gonna say.
No, I don't even vape anymore. I don't do any of that stuff. I'll have a cigar once in a while for
I don't
if
know,
we have
it
a
makes
band
you-
meeting or something, I'll have a cigar.
It makes you more virile. It gives you vitality.
So
Oh,
this is my problem is I quit nicotine, hit a month, and then I went to the doctor and he's like, you got to get back on that. That's why you're not sleeping and you're having panic attacks because you quit nicotine cold turkey. So I'm getting prescribed nicotine patches.
Nicotine patches? Yeah.
Oh, dude, it
yeah.
sucks. Because now I want to get back into it hardcore, but I can't.
Yeah, when my doctor found out I was vaping, she was like, "What are you doing?"
Don't do that.
And I was like, the nicotine helps me with cognitive stuff, which it does. It totally did. And I would vape while I was doing schoolwork and stuff like that. And then she was like, "Listen, you should just not do that. There's other ways if you really need it." She's like, "I can just prescribe you a nicotine gum or patch or something if you really think it helps."
It's not as
And
fun,
I was like,
though.
"Don't fucking, I don't need that. I'll just quit. I don't care."
Yeah.
It's not, I didn't vape because I'm super addicted to nicotine or something.
Yeah, but
But
it's-
also that's just not me.
It's not as fun to just take nicotine, though.
Agreed.
It's way more fun
It's
to
the
see
point.
that-
It
the
feels
smoking
way
is
better
what
if you
the part of
smoke
the
it.
feeling is that. Yeah.
That's what I was going to
100%.
say was I will smoke a cigar every now and then, and it is the greatest thing on earth is smoking one cigar maybe once a month, if that. and then you just
I have
really
black and
feel
milds.
great.
Sometimes I just
I've been having cigars more lately because I recently got like a box and like ordered some online and stuff. So I've been having them more recently because I've been trying them like to see which ones I like. But I don't
wouldn't-
just sit there and smoke a fucking cigar all day every day. That's
like,
weird.
I wouldn't mind getting into cigars. I just like feel like every time I smoke a cigar, I get like 25% of the way in, and then I go,
Well, it depends on the
know.
cigar, man.
Yeah.
Because there's some shit cigars out there. Like, if you're like, I like smoking cigars, let's go get a Dutch Master to smoke from the. What the fuck? No, you got to get good ones,
It's
man.
just that it's heavy and it's like there's a lot to it, and it's a commitment.
It goes fast, though, you know.
My dad used to smoke cigars. I always thought that was cool. It's cooler than it's like cleaner than cigarettes, but not really.
Not well, no.
It,
well,
I mean,
like-
objectively, it is undeniably cleaner.
there's significantly
Depends
less
what you get.
carcinogens.
I think it's classier.
There's almost no carcinogens comparatively. Like, go
That's
buy a
true.
box of Newports and tell me that's as clean of a smoking thing as a hand-rolled cigar that's a
fair.
premium cigar.
You can
like, come on.
taste the carcinogens in Newports, dude.
Well, there's arsenic and all that
fucking
stuff
used to
and just
smoke
cigarettes in general.
That's what you want, though. You
But
want
there's
the
also
embalming
like
fluid.
fiberglass and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
The
about the
embalming
nicotine,
fluid
it's
is
about
like
the embalming fluid.
It's what makes
I
you
think
high.
the craziest thing is that like it's like, yeah, we know all that shit's in there, but fuck it. Like
I know, dude. Yeah, I feel like for me, the reason I started smoking cigarettes when I was super young. And it was because, you know, I grew up in the 90s, and if you were cool, you smoked cigarettes. My stepdad smoked cigarettes, and we thought he was fucking cool. And every one of our heroes did in all the movies and shit, you know?
Yeah, dude. It's like you watch Van Halen.
do you remember that?
If you watch Van Halen,
Van
smoking
Halen,
cigarettes.
Eddie used to have it in his headstock and shit, and everyone was doing
Slash
that.
always had a cigarette in his
Slash
mouth.
always had a cigarette, would light his hair on fire and shit. Didn't give a fuck.
Every stand-up comedian.
Yep,
Smoked.
a lot of the great ones. Dude, Chappelle still smokes cigarettes on stage, which I'm like, how the fuck does he just pay the fine and he doesn't give two shits?
well,
You know
from
I
what
mean?
I
So does
heard-
Doug Stanhope.
From what I heard, like a lot of times, like you, as long as you can make a case that it's part of the act,
Yeah,
you can do it.
but he doesn't have a case.
Not really.
You know what I mean?
I also
He's
read
Dave
like
Chappelle, so they just
Yeah,
don't
and
care.
even if what are they going to fine him? He's just going to afford it and pay it.
Yeah.
What fine is it? You know,
I guess if you've perennially smoked cigarettes on every single special,
They're
like,
like,
Ron-
we
Ron
gotta
White
let him.
always
You can be
smokes
like,
a
well, yeah.
cigar and drinks scotch.
yeah, it's the cigar.
They're like, we got to let him do it because he always does.
Yeah, just put the fan on, we'll be fine. Like I read somewhere that all of the Always Sunny cast smokes, so they would use every excuse they can to be smoking in the show, just to be able to do it on set.
Yep.
Didn't they all quit or no?
I don't know, maybe
Do they still smoke? Because I remember reading that too. Because they would literally, like in the first 2 seasons, in every single scene, one of them had a cigarette.
yeah.
Yep.
I really want a cigarette, boys.
No, dude.
Let's get cigarettes.
That's what I don't get is like when I smoked
wrap this up.
when I smoked cigarettes, I fucking smoked for years and I always had cigarettes on me, and if I was out, I would just always go buy them. It was like habit. But when I stopped, I just stopped cold turkey, and it never fazed me. I never experienced anything, and I never really went back.
Yeah.
I never smoked for like a long time though. Like I never got to a point where I don't think I ever got to a point where I was like I need a cigarette sort of like craving.
I smoked a ton from like start of college to like last year. Because I quit cigarettes last year. So I don't know how many years that is. 4 years? 4
It's
years.
like 4 years, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
But it sucked because I lived in
I'm not the year
Syracuse.
guy.
And you could get cigarettes for like $3.50 a pack there. And we would
Well,
get,
now you damn sure can't, but you used to be able
well,
to.
yeah.
God
Because
damn,
you
they're
can
like
get
10.
them from the Oneida
They're like 10 and
Nation.
some change now.
No, from the
Oh, you probably
reserva-
still can at the res. Yeah,
Yeah,
you probably
the
still can at the
reservation.
res.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, I'm not that. Dude, they were probably $3.50 a pack like when our parents were in college.
They were when I first started smoking when I was 18, and given I'm older than you guys, not much older than you, a lot older than you.
Yeah.
When I started smoking when I was probably 15 or 16, And me and my brother, Jake smoked, so he would buy me smokes, which is hilarious that I was like 15 years old and my 18-year-old brother was like, I'll buy you smokes.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, what are you doing? But we did everything together. We were in a band together and shit. So like, it just was always going down, you know?
Yeah.
But, back then, you could get a pack of Marbs for $4 and change.
Really?
In Oswego, yeah, you could.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And
crazy.
then by the time I was 18, a pack of Marbs was $5, $5.50 or something like that.
It's like it's half the price.
Newports
Yeah,
are like
literally
11
half the price.
They're like 11 or 12 bucks a pack. That's another reason why I quit too, because I used to.
But
vape.
I don't get
Same.
that's what I don't mean.
initiated me stopping as well was the price started.
Yeah,
getting
like I don't know how
close
people
to 10,
can
and I went,
like
no.
How could you afford that if you are one of those like pack a day smoker? How could you even smoke a pack
I never
a day?
was either. That's
I-
another thing.
I-
Never smoked a pack a day.
A pack a day is wild nowadays because you're literally spending over
$70
$300 a month.
Yeah,
on
that's
cigarettes.
so absurd.
Yeah.
That's
dude.
over half my rent.
Yeah,
I
fuck
can't
that.
imagine spending all of that.
No way, man.
But like that's why I quit the
It's like
nicotine.
$80 a week.
The whole time I smoked cigarettes, I always managed it to, I would buy a pack on Friday when I got paid. My favorite cigarettes were Camel Lights. That's all I ever smoked. Camel Lights and Camel Special Lights, which you never saw anywhere. But Camel Special Lights were the best. But they're all cigarettes, so how good are they really?
Right.
But I would buy a pack of Camel Lights on a Friday, and I would try to make them last till the next Friday, and I would smoke a pack a week.
Well, there's like it's weird too because you can taste like not even taste but feel a giant difference between a good cigarette and like
And a bad. Oh yeah, but that's the thing. Smoke a Camel Light, and then smoke like a
Seneca.
a Seneca or a Sonoma Red or something like that.
Or like those
They're so
American
gross.
Spirits or whatever.
American Spirits are higher quality.
They were supposed to be. Well, those are the ones that are good for you.
They're organic.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
They're organic and they don't have the carcinogens in them. But
But they burn so slow.
it's impossible to smoke one.
I used
They burn
to smoke,
so slow.
Get this shit. I used to have Smoker's Choice order them for me when I worked at the paper
fuck?
mill and worked at Novellis. I used to have them order me a carton of Lucky Strikes. I would get a carton of Lucky Strikes.
Those are filterless, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, no
And
chance.
the tobacco is toasted instead of dried.
I'm not interested in filterless.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I used to smoke
So-
those in Camel non-filters.
What I think even worse than that, Jake, and I mean, you guys know Jake's a psycho. My brother Jake, not you Jake, but Jake, my brother, is fucking crazy.
I was gonna say,
and
yeah,
in
yeah.
all the good ways, like he's the
Yeah.
best, but
Yeah, your
he's a
brother's
savage. But he's known because when he smoked and when he would smoke weed and stuff like that too, it was taking a Jake hit. Because he has such strong he's roided. He's so jacked. So he just has strong everything, but particularly his lungs.
Mm-hmm.
He can like fucking pop ice bags and shit with his lungs. And he has
Wait,
such
what?
power. I'm dead serious. Yeah. He has
does that
such
mean?
powerful lungs. He can go and like fucking anything. He is such ridiculous.
I don't know.
lungs.
That didn't make sense. What do you mean?
He can blow up an ice bags.
Ice bag, like
Oh,
you
like
carry
you
Like
would
the
buy
rubber
those-
ice bag.
Yeah,
he can
okay.
pop those.
I
with his
I
lungs.
thought you were talking about ice packs. I was
No,
like,
what? No, I meant a bag, like the old school bags. You're so young. You're like, what the fuck's an ice bag? So
What is
back
ice?
like in the day, there
No,
used
like-
to be these rubber bags that you would fill with ice, and they had a white cap on them, and you would screw them, and you could fill them with ice and like put them on your back if it hurts or something. And Jake has
oh
wicked
Jesus!
fucked up
I was
strong
thinking.
lungs.
Okay, so when you said ice bags,
You're thinking
I
of
was
just a
thinking
bag
bags
that-
of ice that you buy
No,
at the
I
gas
mean an
station.
ice bag.
like one of
It's
those
like-
rubber fucking things.
Yeah, yes,
Those
yep.
rubber things you can put
Yeah.
ice in them, and then
Yep.
it was like a compress. You can microwave them too.
beer.
Yes, yep.
Fuck.
So, but
that's
yeah.
strong.
Yeah, Jake has super fucked up powerful lungs
That's
to where
wild.
when he inhales, if he's sucking air, if he's like, it is like it has a tone to it because his lungs are so powerful. So he would smoke Camel Wides, and he could smoke one whole Camel Wide in like 3 drags.
That's
And he would just be like,
insane.
like so hard, dude. And his lungs are made of steel. And it didn't matter how harsh it was. He never could feel it. Never phased him. Not that that's like something to be proud of, but it was always just weird to
Well,
us.
it's like one of those special abilities.
And back when everybody smoked weed and stuff all the time when we were younger, we would like roll a blunt or something and pass it around, and it would get to Jake, and he would just be like, it's so hard. Just watch the whole thing go.
The whole thing's gone, yeah.
And pass it to someone, and they're like, what the fuck? What'd you do to this? You just get used to it, dude. I've seen him pack. I've seen him do like take a like a bubbler or a bowl and pack it clean and one hit it and just go whole thing in one hit and then be like, I'm still sober, I need more.
Yeah, dude, fuck that.
What the fuck?
Whereas like if I did that now, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to work for 3 days.
Yeah, no way,
Dude,
dude.
that happened to me earlier. It was
Yeah.
fucking dangerous.
When I do smoke weed, it's like, okay, I'm good. I'm gonna get a mild buzz and mellow out for the night.
Yeah, yes.
Like
Like
I don't like to get crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's the thing is like, okay, if you get too drunk, you're like, I'll lay down. Whatever.
I'll drink some.
Shit.
Well, you can drink some
I don't
water
know
or
where this is
something.
going, bro, because I think we're gonna heavily disagree.
If you
on
get
that.
too high, you have a problem on your hands.
I disagree. I'm the other way. If I get too high and I'm like freaking out, I can talk myself down off that ledge and just like go to sleep. I could probably still drive safely super high. But if I'm hammered drunk, I'm hose puking, I'm saying things and doing things I regret, I'm not safe.
Wait,
You know what I
are we
mean?
talking like blackout drunk?
I'm talking hammered, yeah, because that's the comparison.
Yeah.
If you're too high, then you have to be talking about too drunk, which is like blacked out. And then what good are you're?
Yeah,
in
I
a
would
way
say
worse
blackout drunk is worse than being
field. Way worse.
I think the
too high,
threshold
but
is.
Also,
the threshold,
you wake
the
up.
threshold is lower.
The threshold's lower for sure.
Yeah,
Threshold's lower.
like
You can get super, super high, bad high.
quickly,
Fast,
very
and
quickly.
it
That's
is
the problem.
scary, and
so
it's very
I
scary.
meant to say when you get too high on accident.
Yeah.
but then I
When
was
you get
trying
to-
to think you can't get too drunk on accident.
No, you
It's
have
very-
to take
yeah.
yourself there.
So
Yes.
I think that's where I got lost. When you get too high on accident, I think it's not good for anybody involved.
Oh, totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing scarier than when someone's like, take a hit off of this. And you're like, okay. And you take a hit and you go, what is this? And they go, got ya. It's pure hash oil. And you're like, huh? And then you have to sit there and start like processing. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's scary.
Yeah, because
yeah.
you know it's coming.
It's why, like, when you have friends that are like, dude, you want to come over and smoke? And you're like, okay. And you go hang out, and they're like, all I do is dabs. All I have is oil. It's like, I'm going to go.
And
Sorry.
meanwhile they're hitting a bong that's this high off the ground.
Yeah,
and it's
dude.
just caking it up, and
Yeah.
then they're just like,
and I won't say any names, but we all know somebody like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe not be the same person, but just everybody knows that one person.
Yeah.
Somebody in their friend circle that every time you ever went to hang out with them, they were like, I only do oil dabs.
And then-
So
but
are
it's
you
like,
down? And I'm like, no.
They've also gotten to that point of tolerance where they go,
Yeah.
and then they go, and then they're like,
you know what's funny is I thought of
they're completely fine for like.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did you just do that and then do 3 more of them?
I thought of not
Yeah,
I've thought of not 1 or 2, but I've thought of 3 people that have been on this show that were that guy
Yeah.
or
Oh,
are
yeah.
still that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
oh, yeah.
I would
Immediately.
I would
Yeah.
be coughing. I would be in a coughing fit so bad, my eyes would be instantly red within the 12 seconds afterwards.
That's
Yeah.
the thing is, I liked oil for a while, but I like oil portably. Like if I go somewhere and I want to be able to
Yeah,
get
you want-
high,
you
like
there-
a pen with
yeah, I'll
some
bring
oil
a
in it
pen
or
with
something?
me.
Sure,
but
yeah,
portable
I would
oil.
never get a rig. Those are
What the
fucking
no,
dangerous, dude. They're so. There's a person.
that's the thing, like, when you walk
I'm
into
gonna
someone's
type
house-
his name out on.
Yeah, don't say it
gonna
because
say it
I
out
don't,
loud,
I don't
But
like
you
to do
know
that
it
shit,
when you
but-
walk into someone's house and they have those fucking blow torches and shit.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like, ooh,
It's like, okay.
No, not even the blow torches. When they have the full-on propane tank or gas tank. No, this
Do you mean the blue one?
The big blue one, the
yeah,
big blue
the big
one.
blue.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
blow
yeah.
torch, bro. Yeah,
those
Like a-
giant
yeah.
ones. No, I would have.
Did you go over there and they have a welder's kit? They're
They're like, here, put this on before you take the dab, and it's
Yeah,
the fucking shield down.
Oh, that's so dumb.
Oh, God.
It's so extreme.
It's this guy.
Yeah, okay. All
It's
right.
immediately this guy.
Yeah, all right.
But you know,
Oh, yeah.
it also is. It is also this guy.
Okay, yeah.
But
That
he
I
doesn't
don't
smoke
that I
it.
don't know that much.
You don't
Yeah,
really?
that's true.
Well, you
Yeah,
know
let
that.
me see. Let me see real quick.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, dude. But it's like the good thing about that is that
where the silver lining.
the silver lining, and I do this with both of them, is before I leave, I'll be there. I'm like, hey, it's cool if I have a tiny one for the road, like a tiny little hit of hash oil.
and they're like, sure.
And then they're like, yep. And then you could just be a solid like 4 when you get home and you're trying to chill down.
Yeah.
I can't. He's not on here, but this is one that goes there hard.
Yes.
It went in hard.
Yeah.
Went in hard, does.
So that's 4 people that have been on the
that's
show.
who- yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. And if they listen to this, all of them are going
They
to
all
be.
know. They all know who they are, but we don't have to say names. I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
incriminate
No,
anybody.
it's
The
funny.
best
They know
shit
who the
is,
fuck
like,
they are.
I love when you're playing games with someone and like you're hearing them over the chat.
Oh my! I almost
and
said
they're
his
just
name.
fucking.
You can hear the bong going every 3 minutes, and you're like, all right,
And you're
man.
like, how are you that ripped and like being fine right
No,
now?
my favorite is when.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna. Yeah, sorry. 'Cause I'm that guy right now. Like
I was gonna say, fucking, the reason they're able to just constantly take huge bong rips every 5 minutes and be completely straight and narrow is because
They've taken huge. Bong
all
rips.
they do is take bong rips 24/7, so their tolerance is so
Yeah.
high, and that is something that I just never understand.
I wouldn't want it though.
no.
Why would you like? I just don't get that, because getting your tolerance to that place, you're not being. Maybe that's just me, but you're being fiscally stupid. Like
yeah.
you're making a conscious decision to have no money because
Right.
you now have to spend all your money on weed to keep that going.
Yeah.
Yes, and it like is
And
so
I
much
just don't
work
get it.
to smoke so many bowls just to actually.
I
feel it.
just don't get it, dude.
Yeah, and I can't. What I was gonna say, the bad thing.
But that's
or
like
whatever I was
Snoop
gonna
Dogg
say.
though. You know,
Snoop-
it's
yeah,
like Snoop is
fucking-
like
but that's-
constantly smoking.
That
It's
doesn't.
like,
That's different though, because it's not a financial issue for him. He has as much as he wants 24/7.
which is wild though. It seems like he's just always super high, which is fucked up.
Here's something else weed related to kind of shift gears. Now that Biden's president, I'm pretty sure he talked about when he was starting to run federal legalization.
He's not
of marijuana.
president yet, dude.
He's president elect, but
Well,
he won.
Not yet.
Whether
Yeah, there's-
anybody likes it or not,
not
because
yet.
that just is the fact.
I don't know, man.
did, in
There's,
fact.
I don't know. Trump's still. fighting
Trump
it.
doesn't think he did, but lucky for the reality,
Yeah.
no one cares.
I don't know. Trump did tweet that he won the election, though.
He said it a few
He
times.
did.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird,
When
'cause-
objectively you lost,
Right.
and
It
all
seems
the
like-
experts are saying it's the most secure election we've had in forever.
Yeah. Like, what does he think he's gonna get? Like hundreds of thousands of them, like overturned.
No, it doesn't work like that.
I don't think that's gonna.
What
happen.
it is you
if he does
file-
find voter fraud, though, like he's gonna find it, and like even if he does find it, it's not gonna be significant enough to where it's gonna.
It won't matter.
overturn
And he's going to
hundreds
find
of
voter
thousands.
fraud that Republicans were committing, which
Yeah.
got found over and over again.
Yeah.
Republicans trying to commit voter fraud got caught a bunch of times.
Right. If
That's
you try
why
to
none
find
of them
that,
are saying anything.
That's why no one's saying shit, and they're all just turning on him.
they're just
'cause
throwing
going, uh-oh.
the cases are just getting thrown out. Really.
Yeah,
What's
well, I mean,
happening.
he keeps filing cases at every state that beat him, and
But-
filing not at the ones he won. But
But
any
he did
state
that,
he
like,
lost in, he's filing.
he always has done that though. It seems
yeah,
like.
that's just what he does. He tries to force people to twist things into his favor.
Well, it's like
with
a-
threat of legal
it's
action.
denial too, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's not
Yep.
narcissism.
And I want to be careful here as well. I'm not a very political person. I'm a logical person who gives a fuck about humans.
right.
So I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but I
But when
do
you
follow
look
reasonable
at it-
facts and
Yeah.
data. And so it's tough for me with this whole political situation right now because the facts are Biden won the election clean in what the actual experts, which that's what sane people do, is listen to experts, are saying is one of the most secure elections we've had in years.
Yeah, but
so he just did win.
But like,
and there's not really an argument.
But how
who
come?
says who's the expert?
Well, how come we went to bed
is
on?
what they say.
How come?
Their degrees and then decades of experience in the field over.
Well, how
Joe
come
Tuesday in a
everybody
trailer,
on
like-
November 3rd or whatever it was? How come everybody went to bed and Trump was in the lead, and then when they woke up, Biden was in the lead? It doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I just
It couldn't be
That was a
because
stressful night.
could be
the
because of
whole
really
election was so
I
stressful.
was really hoping that it was going to be over like the first day, like the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
last one was.
no, it was
Yeah,
gonna take.
wasn't?
It took like 4 days. They're like,
And
It
it,
took
was
longer
like
than
I
that,
stayed
dude. It
up
was almost
late.
a week
I stayed up late on election night, hoping
to
that
see
it would
it.
end.
Nope,
And
not even close.
I was up until almost 5 in the morning, and I was.
I
like,
stayed up and watched.
Yeah, I didn't.
I watched Rogan's stream, and
The end
Tim
of the world
Heidecker
one?
had one going too. So I was like flipping between them.
Yeah,
while
I didn't
was, like,
watch
playing-
anything. I
playing
just
Madden
tried
or
to
something.
avoid it all and say, we'll see it when it ends. We'll see what
I literally
happens.
played 2K all night and just watched the election on
Hmm.
YouTube. It was fun. I was switching between Republican outlets and Democrat outlets, and then international outlets.
Dude, Trump
covering
is
the
like mad
election.
at
So it was
Fox
actually
News
kind of a
now
fun
because they're
day.
not like.
Because they're going, dude, you just got to stop.
That's exactly.
Like, sorry, man. Like, we've towed your line with saying the most outrageous shit to do whatever we have to do to spin things in your favor, but even we can't spin this
At a certain
because
point,
it just is a fact
just
that you
looks
lost. So
embarrassing at
you
a
got to
certain
just
point.
stop. Yep. It is, yeah, it just looks embarrassing. I think
They should have stopped the count when he was in the lead. Is what they should have done.
I think what's going on is this, and I don't know, this is speculation, but it seems like it. It seems like Trump is freaking the fuck out because he just assumed he was going to win the election out of arrogance and stupidity. Not to say that he couldn't have won, because he has a lot of supporters. Our nation is pretty much split 50-50. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which is a whole different can of worms.
Well, he lost
I don't
the-
personally
the-
think America should even be as big as it is.
Yeah.
I think they've got to split it up into
He did
independent
lose
nations.
the popular
It'll never
vote.
happen, but
he lost the popular vote twice now, technically.
yeah.
But like, it's weird when you look at the map. Like, a whole bunch of the middle America is red, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you won the deserts.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
you won all the places with the people that don't have
There
any.
was something my grandma
They don't
said.
exist in the modern world.
My grandma
like-
said
Yeah.
land doesn't vote, people vote.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's why when people go, fucking New York, every county was red, but because the city voted blue. But that's because the city has 90% of our fucking population,
Yeah.
you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
Yes, of course our state's going to be blue. That's where all of us live. So
Right.
what did you think? That's how it works. It doesn't matter what fucking APW in the middle of fucking nowhere wants. It matters what the majority of the population wants. And that, this election just was Biden.
Yeah. That was,
Like,
yeah.
we know that, you know? And 4 years ago, it was Hillary. But the states that Trump won had more electoral votes, so he won.
Yeah,
you know?
that's a weird thing too. Like
It's
he wanted,
an
like,
unnecessary thing now that we have internet and the world is connected. The electoral system it has no value now.
right. It doesn't have as much, I guess.
You could just do popular vote and find out who wins. Like
Yeah,
we have
I
internet.
think it should be a popular vote and no parties, and just have vote
Agree.
For the guy.
I agree. No parties.
think it should be
Popular
that.
vote.
You
just
shouldn't have to go
people
like
run.
win a fucking primary or some shit.
Yep.
You should just
Yep.
be there, and like Sanders would be an option. He would actually be an option all of a
He
sudden.
would have. Yeah. Yep.
because
Because it wouldn't have mattered that the DNC tried to push him out.
Yeah,
He
3
would have
times
ran
in a row.
independent and won.
Twice in a row.
and
Twice,
Kanye.
yeah,
I mean,
twice.
we could just vote for Kanye. I mean, we wouldn't
Yeah,
feel like
sure.
we're throwing out our votes, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I.
And that's the
my
thing.
vote.
I mean,
I felt really confident.
I don't
in
really
mine.
want to get into politics too much just because it's like it's such a deep rabbit hole of like conspiracy
Neither of
theories
us are,
around
like-
what
neither of
stuff
us
is,
are
and
experts in
I'm not,
any
yeah, none
way.
of us are political experts, but I
just live
I just know. So
Yeah.
what I was saying earlier is I think Trump thought he was going to win, and now his whole world is crumbling around him because he's realizing that so I don't know why. This part's speculation. I think he was in office and wants to stay in presidential office as long as he can because the IRS has his ass and won't go after him while he's president because of the black mark it'll leave on the United States in the global picture of like, oh, you're president of your whole country. The guy representing you was evading taxes in the hundreds of millions and now is going to prison. And like most people that hate Trump are going, who gives a fuck, arrest him. But I'm just saying politically, I think our political system's going, please don't touch him.
Yeah.
But as soon as he walks out of that White House, the IRS is going to be standing there with cops going, sir, just come with us. You know you're done. And I think he's freaking the fuck out because he realizes the second he walks out of that door, he's getting arrested for tax fraud.
It does seem like he's trying everything he can.
Yes, he's scrambling to hold on to the office. And he doesn't have any...
But you wonder, too, because like, if he does have a tax... if he has this evidence, why can't
we know
he just
for a
put
fact
it
he
out?
does now, right? We know the IRS is... Not the IRS, but information has leaked enough now to know he's evading taxes and he's doing shady shit to get out of having to pay taxes. Of course he is,
but like he's
and
trying
other people are too.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter. It doesn't make him innocent because other people happen to also be evading taxes. Get them
but
to
that's part of him, like he understands the loopholes.
Yeah, he does,
and that's what he exploits.
The problem is when you're dealing with the IRS, you don't really have any loopholes. Like if you're evading taxes one way or another, they're coming for you. And all these people think you can be a sovereign. That's the funniest thing in the world to me. Sovereign citizens. They go, this is real. I talked to this, whoever. It's real. You can denounce your citizenship, and then you're allowed to take drugs across state borders. And when you get pulled over and arrested, you won't be in trouble. And
is that the people that like take off their license plates and shit too?
Yep. And they get a loaded weapon that they have unregistered, and they drive across the state border with like 2 pounds of weed. And they go, I'm actually a sovereign citizen. You can't arrest. You're not allowed to arrest me. I don't follow your rules. And they go, well, you're in our country though, so it's not up to you.
Yeah.
Just like if a French guy came over and tried to cross the state border with a pound of weed, you're getting arrested. It doesn't matter that you're not a U.S. citizen. Right. You're fucking Shitsville.
Why don't we like start our own country? We should find a little island.
I thought that's what we've been doing on the podcast.
It's going to happen eventually. I mean, Fight Island.
Yeah. We just live on Fight Island.
We just go to Fight Island and never... I mean,
if people want to get on, if people want to live in our country, they have to fight all 3 of our dads.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. On Fight Island.
And there's only going to be one political party, and it wins every time.
Yeah. Yep. And the party's just called the fucking political party.
Yeah. Political
like
party
the Washington
01.
football team.
Political party 01, yeah. No.
And it's just always Donald Trump.
But yeah, that's based on what I'm seeing in the way people are acting, like the way Trump's acting and the data that's dropped, like just random like articles.
I just don't think you can make yourself look more.
It just seems like he's
desperate.
Evading going to prison for tax fraud.
Yeah. He just seems scared. Like, I don't know. It's a desperation thing.
Yeah. Because a couple things we know for a fact. It's starting to leak that he has sketchy shit going on with his taxes. That is starting to become public. We know that for a fact.
Which is fine.
Which is whatever. But it's illegal and you go to prison for that. 2, we know for a fact he doesn't actually give a fuck about any Republicans or Democrats or people. Like, that's irrefutable. We know that. Yeah. He's openly said it in interviews over and over again. That he has no vested interest in being anybody for the people. He just cares about his own self-being and only that.
He's a businessman.
Yeah, and I can't necessarily knock him for that. Although I disagree with it, it doesn't matter.
It's kind of what he knows, though.
It's just what he's a creature of habit.
Like, it's the life that he has been put into anyway.
I don't think it's good, but who am I to say? That's not the point. We just do know for a fact he doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself. And all of his interests are self-serving and have been. And that's just provable, Yeah. I don't even need to cite examples. You just know that's fact. Mm-hmm. But and some people love that about him, and I'm just like, what? Like, but you're talking about the guy who's taking the position in office that is the highest ranking service job, though.
Yeah.
So you're picking the guy who you know definitively you're championing because he only cares about himself and serving himself.
Yeah, you're supposed
And
to have
you
the
think
guy
that's going to benefit us.
Yeah, you're supposed to have the guy that like cares, like he's the
You need
spokesman for the country itself.
Yeah, you need a guy who only max cares about everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which it seems like we never get.
We never get that. Yeah. We never get that. But either way,
This is the thing, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be the guy that's like Obama, but it's like, by the by,
good, man.
I really don't care what they do. I do care what they do, but I really just want them to be a good person.
yeah.
That's
And
all my criteria
like,
is.
We don't
like
know,
integrity,
and that's what I don't get either. Is when people like Obama is such a good example. You know, nobody can just be satisfied. So you always have people being like, well, Obama did this or that. It's like, yeah, well, every single person
but he was
in
a
a
nice guy.
presidential
Everybody liked him.
position is going to have to make hard choices, and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to make wrong choices.
Even if they make the right choice, the other side that
Is
believes
gonna think it's the wrong choice.
Yeah, that believes a different way is going to
Look
say
how
it's
many
the wrong
people
choice.
hate Obamacare and think it's shit. And it's like, yeah, but it made millions of people in our country still be alive. So whether you agree or not, you don't get to have a say. It did do good. Statistically, it just did. You know what I mean? And like, it's like when people go, who the fuck's going to pay for universal health care? I don't fucking know, but every other first world nation in the world right now is solving that problem. So we better, whether anybody agrees with it or not. When you see the trends happen globally of what first world nations are doing, you either follow suit with those trends or you're no longer a first world nation. Objectively, that is not a political opinion. That's if they're legalizing marijuana and using the tax revenue from that to clear student loan debt, make college for citizens be free, and pay for universal health care / universal basic income in some places, then every first world nation that wants to be on that level better fucking figure those things out, whether anybody likes it or not.
Oh, I love.
And
the
there is
people,
no opinion on it.
I love the people that are against universal basic income, but they wanted stimulus checks throughout the whole thing.
Yep.
And then you go, wait a minute, that's the same thing. That's what that.
How
would
did
be.
we afford it? How did we afford it? I don't get it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's. It's
And then
like,
Trump goes, we're going to sign in trillions of dollars in stimulus packages for small businesses, and then sent 90% of that money to like Shell Oil and shit.
then you get $1,200 for.
And then-
for how long have we been in this thing?
Yeah,
March,
last time we all got a
May,
check was in
June,
March.
July, August, September, October, November.
Yeah.
9 months.
Yeah. And they won't sign another one. And he was like, we'll do one, but we're going to wait till the election. And now he lost. So he's like, fuck you guys.
He's not doing anything now. All his focus is on fucking making
Trying
sure
to prove that there's fraud that he
Yeah.
can't prove because there wasn't any. And every time in every state that he lost in, he's filed cases with their courts, and their judges or whoever see the cases, throw them out immediately because they go, well, sure, yeah, you're allowed, you're taking the right steps. He's allowed to file those cases. Like he's allowed to file those complaints and test it. And then they investigate and go, you're just wrong. It's baseless. Sorry. And they throw it out. And it's just state by state. They keep getting thrown out.
But the economy, though.
He doesn't stop. But he did so much for the economy. Sure he did. He's one of those guys. Like,
That's kinda-
my favorite thing with Trump too is like what do you remember?
We've lost
how
all of our Trump supporters.
I don't care. Yeah.
They're all gone.
Well, for 4 years he talked about how his health plan was going to be the best health plan ever. He never even had a mission statement on paper for a projected health plan.
Well,
to
that
present.
was the
He never
toughest
even
thing. That was the thing I
began
didn't like
coming up
about
with
it.
one.
Was like he kept saying all these things he was going to do, and then like anytime they'd ask him about a plan,
Like, actually show us your plan. He'd go, well, we're working on it or whatever. It's going to be the
it's
best.
going to be
And he never did an ounce of actual work on any of these things he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And that's not to say anybody else ever did. I mean, they did. You can say that safely. We've had plenty of fucking presidents do shit in office.
But we've got very good plans. Tremendous plans.
And to me, Man, to me, I think the number one thing I saw with this election, regardless of which side anybody was on, it seemed like, and not necessarily defined by you were a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter, but it became pretty clear that like about 50% of our country is dog shit humans that don't even deserve to have a country. And like, regardless of political side they were on, we got exposed as a nation for having way too many shit people being allowed to just be shitty openly, and there's nobody checking them. And that's a bummer for me. That makes me want to move out of the country because I don't feel like I'm at home at a place where everybody around me is a shitbag.
It's like, I think the country was already polarized, but not this degree.
Never to this degree.
Never been like a straight up at the point of like war between blue and red.
It's borderline civil war right now. It's that bad.
Yeah,
and I would argue not even necessarily between blue and red, although it correlates, to be fair, a lot of the people that I would consider to be shit humans as far as morally, regardless of their political view, also happen to be Trump supporters, but not all of them. Mm-hmm. I know people that support Biden personally that I think are complete scumbag humans.
Right. Well, I think this election was just Trump versus not Trump.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't really Biden.
It wasn't really about Biden. I think
that's also sort of how Hillary won or Hillary lost.
That kind of sucks that we have to resort to that kind of.
Most of the people I knew that voted for Trump the first time voted for him because
they hated Hillary.
They didn't
so
like
bad.
Hillary.
They were so terrified.
And
they were like, "Fuck it."
Yeah.
And then 4 years later, they were like, "Oh shit, man, we fucked up, didn't we?" And then they were like, "Let's vote for the other guy."
4 years ago was the first time I hadn't voted for a president since since I was 18, since I was old enough to vote. It was the first time I hadn't voted because I was looking at Trump and Hillary going, whatever one of them gets in office is going to do so much damage to this nation that it doesn't matter. It's a massive loss versus a massive loss for the people on both sides. Yeah. So I didn't vote because I was like, it isn't going to matter. If Hillary gets in, it's going to be so sketchy.
She really would have been so awful. And now we know
for a fact that when Trump got in, he made it so sketchy. Trump did this thing that I don't think, and I want to be careful about that too, because I'm not just trying to sit here and bash Trump, although personally I don't give a fuck about the guy. I think he's an idiot. That's not the point. The point is, and I don't think he did this like on purpose per se, right? But what he caused was bad people that are like racist, sexist, just like scummy, idiot people. He caused them to feel comfortable
finally
being outwardly racist and shitty to humans, And I'm not necessarily going to say that Trump was calling for them to be that way, but he refused to speak bad against that kind of stuff because he knows that those people support him. And he didn't want to lose that support. So from a political point of view, that's the only reason I believe he never came out and was like, I denounce white supremacy and shit. He wouldn't say it because he knew they would vote for him.
It goes back to the same thing where like he knows how to game the systems.
Yeah, that's exact. He was gaming the system.
He knew what states he needed to win against Hillary. Like he knew what to target, who to target.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like his thing. He's good at that. Like
that's what he does.
Exploiting the system.
He knows how to work things and exploit
that comes
everything.
from being a businessman. Like that's what it comes from.
That's another thing though, is now we know he was never a good businessman. And that's also an objective fact.
But he had his name on a bunch of stuff.
He's a good con man. He's a good con man. He was good at figuring out if I start a company with my name on it because I'm famous and then make everybody else do the jobs, I can make a bunch of money and then I can bankrupt the fucking company. But I made a ton of money, but I fucked over all these people's careers and screwed a ton of people over and they'll just never touch me.
Did Austin stunner him once?
He did, yep.
Okay, that's good. That's the first president we've ever had that's been actually stone cold stunnered. Probably
It is. Yep.
So
Yeah,
we
dude.
gotta work
But
on
George
that, get
Bush
that
throws
record up.
heaters.
Doubtful.
Dude, George Bush he threw great first pitches.
Did he?
Really? He's
Did,
president.
did Bush? You're talking
W.
about
Bush.
W. Bush, right?
I thought Fauci.
threw
Did he play? Did he play baseball?
I
or
think he
something?
might have because he threw a curveball.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Well,
he threw a pretty nice
So
curveball.
he probably wasn't somebody that's
Or-
never thrown a ball before then. If
or-
he's throwing
Pretty great.
curves.
Or he just didn't throw it with much velocity and it looked like a curveball.
Well, it
'Cause
curved.
it
You
fell
would
off
know.
the table.
I know shit all about baseball.
I would have to
Look,
see.
all I know, okay, he's top dog with baseball, but I do know that if a ball curves, I feel like I'm allowed to call it a curveball.
All right. I would have to see where his fingers.
See, but-
It didn't
I'd have to
slide,
see
So
where
let me
his fingers-
ask
cut.
you. Let me ask
It
you about this.
curved.
If I just picked up a fucking baseball and threw it at you, I would throw it like shit. I'd probably throw my shoulder out too.
Right.
And then I'd throw it like dog shit. And if it curved,
Yeah.
like would it ever be possible for it to just by chance curve because I threw it like shit?
Depends on
Yes.
how you hold
It
it,
is
when you
okay.
throw it. Yeah.
So then that's probably what happened.
Basically, yes. Well, usually you have to throw it hard enough to make it like I guess it doesn't really break, but like with a curveball, you come off the ball this way and you rotate it forward,
Sure.
so that it drops down.
Okay.
Like if you just throw it soft, I guess it would still look like it's gonna.
But it would
fine.
just be shit.
Yeah, it would just be a
yeah,
change
but it
up.
was a pretty solid pitch. I mean, we've all seen presidential first pitches.
Yeah.
Not
His is
really,
probably
bro.
the best.
Because that's going under the assumption that I've ever watched a baseball game.
Yeah.
And that would be something
Well, you
I
don't
would
have to watch a
argue I
baseball-
haven't done.
You could just watch
You've
the first
never
pitch.
watched a baseball game?
An MLB game? No, because I'm a human. So I follow sports that are entertaining.
What's crazy is
I don't
this
know.
is so.
I'm just fucking with you, bro.
So earlier I
No,
said, you know how earlier when I got here I said I haven't sat down and watched a whole football game all year?
Yeah.
I've actually I watch baseball quite a bit. But what I like, actually, I've talked about this before, listening to it on the radio.
That's weird.
Isn't it?
No, that's how it used to be, though. You know?
I can-
And I know
It sounds
people
better
that
on the
still do
radio.
that.
Baseball is one of the things that you can listen to on the radio because you can, when you hear it, you can visualize
It's
it.
probably more entertaining too because you have a commentator who's constantly
Yeah.
talking, keeping you.
I treat it
entertained.
like a podcast.
Okay.
Listen to
Yeah.
it in the background
Yep.
and then do whatever.
At work,
And then when you hear people scream, you pause the game and then
Yep.
you
And
rewind.
so we can use this to segue into a new topic and get off the politics. And I have a good one here. So stuff that we have to talk about because of
let's keep
you're
in
the
mind-
only guys I know that are interested in this, and I want to go there. I've been waiting to go here
and
with
let's
you
keep
guys.
in
Wait,
mind that
can I guess what it is?
everyone who's listening right now is blue. Everyone who's listening right now
Yeah.
is a
Oh
Democrat.
yeah. They've all turned it off.
No, I think I brought a couple of the Republicans back when I talked about how good George W. Bush is at throwing
Was
heaters.
George Bush a Republican?
Yeah.
Okay. That he got elected before I was ever old enough to vote. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he was
think the thing
president.
with George
he was president
W. Bush
during
was
9/11,
that-
right?
Yeah, he was the same. I think
Yeah, I was in
this is
8th
going to
grade,
make me
so-
sound kind of weird or whatever, but I
Okay.
think part of the reason he got reelected was because he was president during 9/11
Probably.
and people
Yeah, but so many people thought he was behind it happening.
yeah, true.
So
I don't know.
I don't
but
know.
anyway, I think Bush also fell into that same. For me, looking back, because I was
my
only,
God.
I was 12 when Obama got elected the first time.
Dude,
and
I was
like,
12 when 9/11 happened.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they were like, yeah, he did 9/11, but like, I don't know.
Back then, people weren't saying he
He's
did
an okay
9/11
guy.
though. I
But
don't.
he got
I don't remember
what's his
people ever
face?
talking about.
Not Osama bin Laden. What was the other dude? Saddam.
I almost 100% don't. I almost 100% believe that nobody was talking publicly about Bush doing 9/11.
Oh,
there
no,
weren't
that
like
was
forums
I mean,
or anything.
Oh, yeah, they were. I can tell you for a fact they
Probably.
were.
All right, so
Yeah,
but they
minute
weren't.
one,
It's not
minute
like
one.
it's not like how it is nowadays though, where it's
Where most
millions
people
and
think he
millions
did
of
it.
people. Yeah,
Yeah, like that's real. Most people think 9/11 was
inside
was
deal.
an inside deal. Yeah, which is that's crazy to me.
that's a dumb.
I doubt we'll ever
that's
know
a
for
dumb
sure.
hill to die on. We should never find
but
out.
I
it's
don't
also
think
like-
it's a dumb hill to die on. Oh no, it's a dumb hill to die on because what can you do about it?
Right.
There's nothing we can do about it. So why? It's
But
over. Just
most people-
move forward with your lives.
But most people think Epstein didn't kill himself, and what are you going to do about that?
Well, here's the thing. He for sure didn't.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different level of provability.
Yeah. But no, I think George Bush had the George W. Bush, because now I keep thinking of
because
the
there is
first, two of
HW,
them.
which was his dad. Yeah.
I think he also had the benefit of falling into sort of the same bracket of the argument I was making with Obama, where it was like he was still kind of he was like a nice dude. Like he wasn't an ass. He wasn't a jerk to anybody.
He wasn't good at public speaking in a way that is legendary and hilarious, but you could tell he wasn't like a jerk prick guy.
Everybody
he was just
liked
kind of
him.
chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, people that have talked to him since his presidency are like, "Oh, dude, he's so chill.
He's the best.
So chill." Yeah.
He's fucking.
Yeah, guaranteed.
He's that dab guy. He only takes dabs.
Yeah.
Well, he
Well, I mean,
he fucking
did do 9/11 though. That's the problem.
Obama was a different level of support, though, man. He swept out both elections, and like when he couldn't run for a third term because no one can. I knew people personally that were white men that I saw emotional because Obama wasn't going to be president now, because he was a president that, regardless of what anybody thinks about him, he was a symbol of like respect and
He was like
intelligence and like maturity and like progress.
He was like one of the
for
best. He was
nation.
one of the best role models. we've ever
he was
had
like a
in
good
office.
speaker.
As
he
a
was
figurehead,
intelligent.
he was-
He was a good. The kind of
Behind the
person you
scenes,
want.
it was.
Who knows?
He murdered millions.
Yeah, but we like. But
he
again,
can shoot.
it's like,
He can shoot 3-pointers though.
He can.
I hope so. I want to
saw a
see
video.
footage of him dunking on somebody.
But you wanted to mention something. We were going to leave
know what I mean?
politics. You said you wanted to talk about something.
Enough politics. So
The UFC.
So what I was going to talk, yeah, for sure. But what I was going to talk about is, we were talking about baseball and how I was saying how baseball's not entertaining. I watched baseball when baseball was entertaining to the average person that doesn't play baseball.
Because everyone was doing steroids.
Not Barry Bonds, the steroid age, where it was
That
a
was
run
the
contest,
best.
which is the best time in baseball history.
I agree. 100%.
When you go, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa are cranking home runs into dudes' back of their trucks in a different city,
And I
shit
think,
like that.
and I'm actually going to
What they should do is just make it so pitchers can only throw 60 miles an hour. If you go higher than 60 miles an hour, it's a penalty. Okay?
Either that,
And then
I disagree with that because
then
there's
they all-
something I love about seeing pitchers that are like, here's a 147-mile fucking fastball,
Yeah.
and you just hear it go through the area, and you're like, what? What was that? It sounded like a bullet.
Well, the thing is, if you
But you just got to let guys do steroids.
But baseball, and Bill actually brought this up one time. He goes, well, the problem with baseball is that offense inherently lengthens the game.
Yes.
Which it does. So, like, you can't get 3 outs if everybody's hitting a fucking home run throughout the entire inning. So the game would never end. It'd just
And
be
the
the top of
games
the
just are too
first.
long.
It'd be the top of the first inning for like 3 years.
Which is why I don't mind fastballs. Like, I want to see no-hit games where
Dude,
a pitcher
I-
does the impossible. And just,
I love like a full count with a guy who's fucking can throw 101 and just goes, all right, well, it's full count. I'm coming at you. Just throws a 101 fastball over the plate and the guy whiffs.
Yeah,
like, it
dude.
just is fucking so
there's
cool.
there's things about baseball I like, but
I love. I don't think there's anything. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Because baseball is a. I was going to add on to. Not only was the steroid era amazing, but the Yankees were amazing back then because they had Derek Jeter and Mariano
Yes.
Rivera, Posada, and they were the most marketable they had ever been.
Yes.
And then also the Red Sox, who were their biggest rival, were also amazing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like once every few weeks you got to watch like the two biggest
really
franchises.
compelling game, yeah.
Where the teams hated
a
each
lot on the
And I'm
line.
biased because I'm a Yankee fan. But
Sure,
most
yeah,
people
I mean,
here
most
are.
of us are. We're New Yorkers, and
But that's what I love. But in addition to every single team had like 2 or 3 TDs, that dudes, where you're like, oh shit, he's up to bat. I'm not going to change the channel.
That guy,
Yeah.
his body looks like it's made out of a different material than human flesh, and the rest of the guys on his team don't look like that.
Yeah.
How'd he do that? And it was extreme steroids.
Yeah. But like that was back even when Vlad Guerrero was playing. Vlad was awesome when Pujols was on the Cardinals. But then you also had fucking David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez on the Red Sox.
The only other thing I can think of in baseball that I've ever seen that is
Jermaine
really
Dye.
like, oh my God, to me, is pitching at the highest level that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Like when you see dudes pitch no-hit games and stuff like that, it's like, what the fuck?
How did no
in an
one?
MLB game?
Yeah.
Like what?
Perfect games blow my fucking tits
I
up.
just perfect games are just what the fuck, dude.
Actually, the best was it was this past season where
Well, what it is, it's a lot of it is scouting too. Like you understand what these hitters, where in the strike zone they're bad.
Yeah.
Like where they're not good at getting to the ball, and you know their tendencies too. Like you know what they're going to swing at. Like
You also know
I
what-
know
How
they're going to
bad
swing
does
at
that
this.
gotta feel when you're
Yeah.
when you're going up to bat against a guy like what's this dude from the the Rockies, Randy Johnson? Played for, it was the Rockies, right?
Yeah.
He played for. Yeah, when the dude's hitting birds that are flying through the air and shit, and he's
but he's
that
also
was crazy.
But he's
That's a freak
also
accident,
he's also
obviously,
like
but-
6'7",
and he's
the biggest guy in the league.
but like.
and he's just throwing gas.
And
dude.
keep in mind, this is coming from a dude who barely knows anything about baseball.
You
know
don't
what I
need to
mean?
know anything about baseball.
I'm just saying
to know that is terrifying.
I'm a guy that, I don't really care that much about any sport other than obsessively so MMA. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
Because that I just have been following it since I was young, like at the beginning of it. So it's always been like the
The
sport
thing
I
that's
follow
different too
religiously,
is like with fighting, like with combat sports, it's easier to follow in a way because you don't need to dedicate yourself to a team.
Sure.
Right?
But,
So you're not like-
invested in guys.
Yeah, and like you're
But there's
not
still a lot to
necessarily
know,
And like if your guy loses, okay, he lost.
Sure.
But like I don't know. I think with a sports team, you're way more dedicated because you've ridden with that team for X number of
You
years.
follow that
Whereas
team
with
for-
a fighter, it's like they're only around for
It's why you end up with the great illusion in sports, which is when people are so deep into a team that they're convinced in their heads that they're a part of
the
that
team.
Yeah.
And
When
you
they
see
start
those-
saying, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we play the Bengals on
that's
Sunday,"
really cringy to
Well, I
me.
always say that, but
we both do say
And
that.
I get it's a
but-
figure of speech, but it just is weird to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Because
you
you-
know you're not on their team, right? You're just a guy they don't know who's a
root-
fan.
you root for them,
But you feel so connected to them because you've been It's like we all grew up watching pro wrestling.
but the thing is, the fan has probably been following that team longer than
Than the
a
guys that play
player,
on 'em.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's been on the team. So it's
well,
like,
maybe not. Maybe the player on the team has also been following him as long, but he hasn't been playing for that team as long as they've been following. Because I'm guessing if you're playing baseball, you're a fan of the fucking sport. You know what I mean? So they're probably, but it might
that's
not be
another
the team
cool
they
thing.
want to play on.
That's another really cool thing I like about sports is like the kid that's been watching this guy growing up his entire life, and he's stepping into a batter's box against him all of a sudden, like 20 years down the line.
To me, it's one of my favorite moments in MMA history was Adesanya
Versus Silva?
Versus Silva.
yeah.
Well,
It's
that
one
happened
of those
with,
once in a lifetime moments you get to watch.
It was they were talking about it because LeBron is going to be playing like his 18th season this coming season.
He's trying to play with his son.
17th or 18th.
That's
but
what it is,
one of
yeah.
the starters for Miami that they've just beat in the finals, when LeBron was drafted
Yeah.
in 03, this kid was like 4 years old or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So he's been playing and watching basketball, and for the past 17 years, he's just been watching LeBron James be at
Be
least
the man
top
in the
five,
league, you know?
at least
Yeah.
top five every year for the past forever.
One thing you can say quickly about LeBron though is you have your skill levels, right? And
Right.
he's top 5 skill level in the league like every year his whole career, right? But where he's number 1 is the other thing he had over everybody else, which is the pop culture appeal, like a Kobe or a Jordan or a Shaq.
It was he had a really solid thing with
And nowadays,
meeting expectations. We
Yeah,
talked about
sure.
this in the group chat.
We did, yeah.
I don't think he'd have to do a lot, and I don't think he can pass Jordan. Jordan was a combination of the perfect time
just such
and
a
the
era.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's
perfect time,
no-
perfect era. The game was different then. It just
Like
there was a lot of factors,
everybody
you know?
was like, okay, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are getting older.
Also,
Who are they passing the
Who's
torch
the
to?
man?
And they were like,
Yeah.
oh, well, Jordan and Olajuwon and Drexler, that's 3 guys that got drafted together that are
Yeah,
really good.
Olajuwon
And then
is
Michael
good-
Jordan
good
was like,
name drop.
oh, no, I'm actually way better than you guys, so
Yeah,
I'm
but that
gone.
was the thing
Like,
with Jordan was
yeah, he was
when
just so much
people-
better.
He did this thing, and this is what people that are kids
I'm gonna
now
look up
that
his
love
stats now 'cause he
basketball,
freaks me out.
right? And they're like, LeBron's number 1. They just don't know.
Right.
They just didn't. It's okay. You know, I can't.
he also
knock him
didn't
for
have to
that.
deal with social media either. Like
True,
he didn't have
true.
Twitter, and that's a tough line to walk these
Very
days. too.
tough, very tough. But what I was going to say is what Jordan did that nobody else I've ever seen has been able to do, except for only Kobe. I've seen Kobe do this. And now the difference is, you know, Kobe has his controversies and he has his whatever. I still think he's number 2 ever.
Kobe Covington.
No. But what Jordan did, that's this innate thing that we all are aware of. And I for sure am because I watched him do it over and over again as a kid, is every time a line got drawn in the sand of if you cross this line, like you have to do this to cross this line and show us you're the man. Every single time that line got drawn, he did it and he blasted by it onto a different planet. And everyone's going, huh? Like, it would be like, okay, you're facing this guy and he's the other guy. So you better be on. And he would go walk up to their bench and go, he's getting maxed out and I'm scoring 65 on you guys. And there's nothing you can do about it. Right in their faces. Look them down and go, yep, 65 tonight, guys. And they'd go, and then he would get 70 or something. You know what I mean?
Like, that's what-
it was just so fucked up.
I always have to bring him up because Jordan was a great trash talker, but I think Larry Bird was
Larry
amazing
Bird's a great
too.
trash talker.
But we watched a Larry Bird it was like the top 5 or top 10, and it's so insane, especially because I watched one the other day that was the people that we didn't know the trash talk stories of nowadays were reflecting on Larry Bird, and they're like, I'm still he can barely walk, and I'm still terrified of that man. But
dude, Larry Bird, my 2 favorite players ever are Jordan and Bird.
yeah.
And that's because they were the dudes when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so
Magic
I
Johnson.
always think that Larry Bird's like the greatest 3-point shooter ever. And there's arguments, obviously Pistol Pete and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's other guys now that are probably eventually going to get argued too.
I think it's almost without a doubt a consensus that it's Steph, but it's
Steph
only
Curry,
because he
yeah.
changed the game as
Sure,
much as he did.
yeah.
But I
But,
would still. Pistol Pete was disgusting, and I'm going to digress because I can't believe you mentioned it, and I love that you did because he's one of my favorite players of all time, and nobody talks about him. Pistol Pete Maravich.
Yeah, of course.
The dude-
he
the dude-
might be the greatest 3-point shooter of all time.
And they didn't even have a 3-point
Yeah,
line
well,
back then.
range,
But that's the
you know what I
craziest
mean?
thing was
Yeah,
he
yeah.
averaged in college over 40 points a game just shooting 2-pointers. And
That's
then,
so ridiculous,
And
dude.
he was doing crazy crossovers and dribbles and stuff
Oh, his
back
ball
then
handling
before
was
you were even
absurd.
allowed to do it. Because back then you had to technically give up possession to do tricks with the ball. You had to have it outside of your. I don't remember what the fuck it was. You couldn't do the tricks that you were able to do now. I guess
Yeah,
you had to be
yeah.
way more.
Well,
technical,
they're so lenient with traveling and stuff like that
and
now.
carrying
It's
and shit,
ridiculous,
yeah.
man, yeah.
Yeah.
But anywho,
Bird.
so we were talking about Bird or whatever, and I love Bird. My favorite thing Larry Bird has ever done that is it's so epic and it's such shit in your mouth if you're anybody that thought you were going to compete with him is he does the 3-point contest and he walks onto the court super lax in his warm-up shit with his warm-up jacket
He's-
still
yeah.
on. Didn't even get out of his shit. Didn't get warmed up. Didn't get ready to go. He's just chilling, watching the All-Star shit. And it's like, oh, shit, it's my turn. Fuck this. I'll go up. And just chugs everybody and wins the contest with his warm-up jacket still on.
Dude, I love that one. Because that was either the
That's
first
so
year or the
fucked up,
second
dude.
year. Because one of the
It was the
years
second
he won
year,
it,
I think.
the first year he won it, he said, "Awesome." He goes, "You guys know you're all fighting for second place, right?" And
Right in
then
their faces, yeah.
Just crushes.
Yep.
There was one where he was playing against.
It's like, because if you do that and then you don't beat everybody, then like you just.
But it was Larry
You're
Bird,
gone,
so
bro, yeah.
like you knew the
They
dude.
knew.
The
They knew it
dude
was
had
open.
such a crazy fucking career because he
He had the unblockable shot, too.
yeah.
The Bird shot, dude. The legend. It's from fucking back here, and it's up.
Yeah.
So he just, how do you block? What do you stop?
Dude, you know who I liked watching a lot was Dirk Nowitzki.
Yep. Dirk was
He
amazing.
so much fun to watch. He would just
fadeaways.
bat guys down and then over your head. See ya.
AI was awesome, and that's the thing is
A
people
7 foot
won't-
tall guy who could shoot.
People
dude,
won't
that's
understand
nuts.
this, and this is going to make me sound. I think basketball is one of the team sports that evolves faster than everything else.
I agree.
And this is going to make me sound like a old man regarding basketball, but so many people that watch basketball nowadays that weren't into it back then, I can't talk about basketball with.
No, they
'Cause
don't get
have
it.
They don't. They think Melo is the most overrated player of all time.
There was a sweet spot for the game, and right now is not that sweet spot.
It was like 96.
96 to like 2004
I think it would
was
be
the
like
sweet window.
right when Shaq
Yeah.
and Kobe,
The end of like the Lakers era,
Yep.
basically.
when the Pistons beat the Lakers
Yes.
in like 04, 05.
That's when it
That
ended.
was it. That
Yeah.
was it. And then it
But,
became
and I'll say this: the game actually, I would argue, like, what would it be, 92 or 91? Whenever the first three-peat hit, when you had
90.
when you had
90, 92,
Chicago
93.
with Pippen and Jordan, and they went on the first one. It was 90, 91, 92, right?
Yeah. Or it was
90.
No, 91, 92,
93.
93. Then he retired
for 2 years.
for 2
and then
years, came
Olajuwon
back into
won, too.
96, 97, 98. That was the second three-peat, right? Yeah. So in that, I mean, and basketball was great in the 80s, too. It was phenomenal in the 80s.
The 80s is my favorite to watch, to look back on, because you had
because they had short shorts too.
but it started off.
which I'm a big fan of.
It started off with Dr. J winning
Yep.
it in Philadelphia in like 81, and then immediately
Right when they merged, right?
Yeah.
Because he was an ABA guy on
Yep.
the 76ers, and then it merged.
and then immediately it was the Lakers and Celtics beating the shit out of each other, and then
that was the big
the
deal,
Bad Boy
man.
Pistons came in.
Bad Boy Pistons,
and we're
yep.
like, "Fuck
Yep,
you
with
for 2
Isaiah
years."
Thomas
Yeah,
and shit.
that was
Yep.
the best.
when you
Amazing.
said ABA, all I could think of
Who
was
was the other? Who was the
Joe
Bad Boy
Dumars,
brothers? Bill Laimbeer.
Bill Laimbeer,
Yeah.
and then they also had, that's my favorite team of all time.
Oh, and they had Rodman.
and Rodman, Rick Mahorn, Adrian Dantley, but they traded him away before the first one, because he was.
And then when
had
when
no
Chicago
defense.
beat them, they walked off and they didn't shake anybody's hand.
Yeah.
And everyone was like scum and kind of scum.
But the thing is
Definitely
like
scum.
It was
that's
awesome,
what
though.
that's what the Celtics did to the Pistons.
yeah, when they beat them,
But it was a bigger deal because they did it to Jordan.
Yeah.
and Jordan. That's
and
the
then
thing
Jordan
is-
goes, "Don't do that to me though," because
Yeah.
because I'll blackball you
Bad
from
idea.
Team USA, Isaiah Thomas. Bye bye.
Yep, bye.
Oh, you want to be on the Dream Team?
Even though-
Sorry.
well-
we're going to put Christian Leitner on the Dream Team.
To be
instead.
fair, though, you want Isaiah Thomas on the Dream Team. He doesn't get to be because of that stupid shit.
Exactly.
And to me, that's fair.
Exactly.
You
No,
gotta
I
be a
agree.
sport. You gotta be sportsmanlike,
I
whether you
agree.
like it or not.
I
But
love that
check your
Jordan can
bullshit.
just go.
But-
if he's going to be on the team, I'm not playing. And then they're like, "Okay, no,
No. He's fired from the league.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
thing
fired
is
from the
is
league.
that
He'll never play
we
basketball
just
again.
set him on fire in the back.
Yeah.
the Pistons had to do that.
Yeah.
because that was
I
their
get it.
whole thing. So
But
I
it's
don't feel,
obvious
yeah.
unsportsmanlike conduct
Oh, it's-
that
yeah.
had to be punished.
They
But
were
it's
the
so
bad, they were
funny.
the bad boy
They
Pistons.
Have you ever seen?
were, yeah.
Have you ever seen? You
It was part of their
definitely have.
legend,
But
yeah.
like Isaiah Thomas in interviews,
Yeah,
is
what about
like
him?
the most soft-spoken, kind guy. But apparently, like there. I haven't been able to find any like definitive. I've read like transcripts and stuff, but he was legitimately the fucking most savage guy on
He
that
was the
team.
scummiest student on the team.
He was
and
the
and
biggest
the
asshole.
real motherfuckers know, because when you see him in interviews, he talks about how it kind of bugs him that he was known as a bad guy and shit. It's all a load of trash, because then you see every other person that played against him on the court and knew him for real like away from camera, and they're all going, "Fuck that motherfucker!" Like Jordan, bro, in that documentary, which is I think one of the best sports documentaries ever. The Last Laugh was unbelievable. Or Last Laugh is
Jordan did get the last laugh.
What was the last laugh?
Mitch Hedberg.
No. I'm thinking of
Robin
something else.
Williams.
The Last Dance is what we're talking about. No, what? No, but no, Last Dance is what I'm thinking of though. But yeah, that documentary was incredible, and in that they bring up Isaiah, and you see Isaiah be like trying to be nice guy, and they cut to Jordan, who openly is like, "Fuck Isaiah, fuck that guy, like I don't want to see him ever again." And shit. You're like, "Whoa!"
So
but
I gotta,
because he knows who he really is.
I gotta ask, why do you have Kobe number 2? Not that I think you're wrong. I don't care what people's put, but that's not a take a lot of people have. Like the consensus I see a lot is
Jordan LeBron or LeBron Jordan
or like Kareem. A lot of people have Kareem
up there.
number 1 or 2. I can see the argument for Kareem number 1. Hear me out, because like as a career altogether.
But to me, there's no way to touch Jordan. Like there's no way to get in on the same planet as Jordan. And maybe that's I'm saying
because
that
it wasn't
trying not to be
it's not
biased.
just statistical either though. Like to me it's like
it's what I was talking about. It's not just
he was
the
more
magic,
of an icon.
The
magic
statistics are
around
incredible.
all of it, yeah.
The statistics are incredible. The icon factor is incredible. Always blasting way past that line of the tests. Are you the greatest?
Right.
Never ever even coming close to short. The fucking flu game, like there's all these legendary things around him.
When I
Space
think of
Jam,
Jordan, I fucking picture that
you
image
know.
of him dunking from the foul line.
Yeah, there's
And
just
that's-
too many.
That's with the fucking
and
flash
then
bulbs from the cameras in the background.
like
with his arms stretched.
yeah, and then like Space Jam. Yeah,
That's Space Jam.
and then what he did for basketball as a sport, for even still what he does for it, and this is a bad reason, and it's not my reason. It's just another thing you can point to is if Jordan wasn't number 1, he wouldn't be the guy every single person gets compared to still.
Yeah.
Like every time anybody's talking about who's the best, you never hear anybody say LeBron is better than Kobe. You hear them go, "Oh, he's better than Jordan." Because they know in the back of their head, Jordan is by a mile the man, and always will be. And I think a part of that too is what we were talking about earlier is the game as it got played then. People played at all costs to win every game, no matter what. And now people play to go, you have your big highlight dunk and we'll all just stand we'll tee out like a character model while you do your shit, and then we're gonna do our shit, and then you tee out, and there's like no competitive edge in the game. There's no defense.
It very
it's hard for me to watch modern basketball because of that.
It's too what's the word I'm looking for? Basketball now is too much focus on everything off the court.
There's that. People are too egotistical. They're too focused on their
and then players taking games off and stuff.
How many games? Like Jordan took games off when they were going, "You're gonna die if you don't stop. You've got to stop." And he's like, "I don't care. I'll just die instead."
Right.
You know,
I'll die putting up 70
But again,
points.
you can't knock a guy for taking games off when he has the right to do it by policy or whatever, when the rules allow you to have a certain amount of games off and you take those, I can't knock a guy for doing that because it doesn't impact anything. Like, I'm not going to say Jordan's better because he played more games. He's better because of everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I put Kobe at number 2 because he's the only guy I've ever seen get anywhere close to that Jordan thing, that aura, that every time the line was drawn, he crossed it and blasted by it. And he did so much for the sport. And he has 5 championships.
Kobe
he almost had 2 three-peats,
Yeah, he did have like a magic around him too.
He had that it factor, that intangible thing, that marketability, but not that marketability is the thing that makes you the best, but it's a factor. And LeBron has all of that as well. He just doesn't quite have the same, like, every time he's been tested of are you the best, he passes the test.
One thing
He's
that's
failed
interesting
that
too
test
is like
many
when
times.
I think of Jordan, I think of Chicago Bulls. When I think of Kobe, I think of Los Angeles Lakers.
And
when I think of LeBron,
you just
I don't know.
question
I
mark, 'cause
throw
he's
up
played
my
on a bunch of
hands.
teams.
I think of
and
LeBron.
that's not necessarily a knock either, but kind of.
But like to me, it's like when you can make a franchise.
When you are the reason a franchise becomes a franchise, yes. And with LeBron, it seemed like any time he went to a team that wasn't able to play at a certain level so that they could win championships, he would bail on the team. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think a lot of fans hold that against him.
Of course they do, because if you're in Miami, you're like, okay, well, we got this guy for forever because this is our franchise guy.
And then he bounces because you guys lost a couple.
Yeah, it's like, well,
yeah. But I also can't blame you if
wants
you're
to
on a
win
franchise that doesn't want
to build around you.
To build around you. Like,
yeah,
not build around a guy, but build a team that has what it takes. Because you can't. It doesn't. I don't care.
You can't
if
just
you're
coast
Jordan.
on. You can't just coast on just LeBron and have
You can't do it.
all
It just
75
doesn't work.
overalls.
Yeah, and that's why the Lakers are in such a good spot now, because they have guys he can count on.
And they got him Anthony Davis.
They got him.
Like
Anthony
they gave
Davis.
LeBron James prime Anthony Davis. That's so fucking
so
stupid.
huge.
Like I didn't realize.
And I hope he sticks around for 2 more years and three-peats with that team.
That'd be,
to me, that will put him in that top 3
Yeah.
discussion. I think he's already number 3 personally.
Yeah,
But
I think when it's all said and done, I think in the future, when he retires, I think a lot of people are going to regret not just appreciating him.
I think so too.
That's what I find the biggest thing is that
I think that happened with Kobe too, and then he was gone.
Yeah,
he retired and he was gone, and then
he
everyone went,
died.
"Oh my god!"
Yep.
And now you're seeing the people realize.
Yeah.
And again, it's careful to differentiate somebody's professional career from their personal life.
You know
Because we
what?
don't know what kind of guys these are. But where no one's talking about that, you're talking about who's the best person to ever play the game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know, I think a lot of people don't mention, not as like far as the greatest of all time, but like people really forget about, and this is going to make me sound crazy, but nobody ever talks about Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, I was just about to say that I think Shaquille O'Neal's top 5 players ever.
Guaranteed.
I think he's the greatest center ever, even over Wilt Chamberlain, in my opinion.
I think he's probably the most unstoppable player ever.
He has 5 championships with the Lakers, right?
He has 3 with the Lakers and 1 with the Heat.
Oh, okay, that's right. He wasn't because
Kobe beat him by 1.
The second 2 were without Shaq, right?
Yeah, they were with Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom. And Ron Artest.
Yep.
That's a good team though.
Well, they went to 3 straight. They lost to the Boston.
Shaq did the
team
3-peat
once.
though with Kobe, and then he went to the Heat and he won 1 with the Heat, right?
Yeah, he won 1 with
But
Dwayne
also,
Wade.
Shaq is just Shaq. Like he's fucking awesome.
But he has that aura like a Jordan or a Kobe. He has
didn't
that
have
appeal.
the work ethic though.
And he didn't have the work ethic?
No.
Well, he also
No, he never practiced. Like he would brag about
he had no shot, but he didn't have to.
But
he was already the best in the world in his position.
He also
You know what I
holds a
mean?
basketball like I hold this can. So
It
like,
actually might be a little bit smaller than the can in his hand,
Yeah.
a full-size basketball.
Have you ever seen the sit down interview with Shaq and Kobe?
No.
They were talking about how there was the first fist fight they got into. They won the first championship. First day of training camp, Kobe shows up and he has all these notes and shit, and he's talking to Shaq. And Shaq shows up the first day of training camp and he goes, "Oh, I thought we're done with all this. We already won 1. We're good." He's like, "We're just gonna keep winning. Don't worry about it." And then they did win 2 more.
Yeah.
But Kobe was so fucking
Because
mad
Kobe was a
he had
genius
to do
of the game.
because Kobe had to do all that to keep up with him.
Yeah, and
Shaq
Shaq was
was
just
just
so naturally gifted.
By the
dude.
time he realized that he needed to keep working on himself to keep his athleticism, it was
too late.
he was fucking.
Yeah, it's
he's
like
7'2",
like-
350 pounds.
yeah,
like-
he was basically playing on a tabletop, and he was just like, "There's a basket."
and then by far the most power player that's ever existed.
There's nothing cooler
Yeah.
than like blocking a shot in basketball. That's just
Yeah,
like
it's pretty
denying
epic.
someone.
Or
like
shattering a backboard or breaking the hoop, and they go, well, we don't know how to finish this game. We have to now pull one out.
But if a guy's like driving on you and you just go, nope, like that's just the coolest
That's
shit.
my favorite thing ever.
But it doesn't happen. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't happen as much now though.
No,
there's not
well, because
as much
there's not defense. That's my problem with the game is you don't have
I think
defensive players don't give a fuck.
A lot of the defense you see nowadays, though, you see a lot more switching and help defense.
I'll tell you what
see
I
a lot
think
of
the
aggressive
problem
stuff
is.
anymore.
Here's what the problem.
Well, because you're worried about
getting fouled.
flops. And
The
all
game
that bullshit.
isn't played by people who studied the game anymore. It's played by kids who grew up playing video game basketball, and they love basketball because they started playing. They found out about basketball because of Jordan. Duh. And that just like every other person that's been alive since the 80s. And then they started playing NBA Jam and they started playing NBA Live and shit. And what do you do? What do you guys do when you play basketball in real life? What do? You try to get in. Okay,
I don't
let's say you did. You try to like get
I breathe
inside
heavily.
and get a layup or some shit, right? Yeah, I don't play either. But
I have my hands on my knees
yeah,
and I
but
breathe.
so let's
No,
play.
you're gonna shoot. You're gonna shoot threes.
You're going to shoot from half court only and miss every time,
Yeah.
and you're still going to only do that till you make it. And that's the game now, is everybody plays like they're playing NBA Live.
Well, I think a lot of it too is Steph Curry, and people realize like if you want to be like, it's a game of efficiency, and what you ideally want is to be the most efficient team. And what a lot of teams do is they're like, all right, well, if you want to be as efficient a scorer, shooting only 2-pointers, you have to shoot over 50%, or you can make 1/3 of your 3-pointers. That's the same output. So they're like, fuck it, just shoot threes. It'll work. But not everybody is Steph Curry.
Yeah,
you need guys that drive and slash and cut, and like the mid-range shot is dying. There was a fucking picture I saw.
There's no,
There's
like,
inside and
general field
outside.
goal.
That's it. There's no
It's
mid.
like the grit and grind Grizzlies with Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph and Tony Allen from like 2006 to like 2015 were like exclusively post bully ball, like 12-man rotations because they were just throwing big bodies at
But
you.
even Nowitzki was like inside shots. Like it was it was shooting. It wasn't so many layups and shit. Like it was backing guys down, fadeaways, short range kind of shit.
Okay, right,
You
but
can win games with that. With
But you
with
can't-
intense defense and short range consistent scoring.
Mm-hmm.
You can beat teams that have
like-
shit defense and only throw
The
threes
mindset
and,
is like,
But all it takes
offense
is
the
like
best defense.
4 3-pointers to swing a game. If you get
Yeah,
like 4
I
or
agree.
5,
Yeah.
that's the problem is that teams are like, fuck it, might as well. Like it was 2 years ago, the Houston Rockets missed 27 straight 3-pointers and lost. It's like, dude, if you took any of those from mid-range, you would have won that game.
Yeah.
But then they see teams like the Warriors do it, and it's like,
But everybody's not Steph Curry.
Exactly.
Who we have footage of it in a regular game with time on the clock. There's nothing at stake. It's like second quarter hitting 3-pointers from just barely closer than half court.
and I think the
just because he's in range and he goes, "Oh, I got this."
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is like it's exciting to watch when it works, but it really, 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 really made me start watching less basketball.
Yeah.
like I think I watched the most basketball in my life the year that the Warriors went 73-9 and then lost to LeBron, and then I pretty much gave up on basketball after that because it just got so
I watched
horrendous.
the most basketball in my life when I was a kid. Like I was a child during the time where it was Chicago Bulls.
When were you born?
I was born in 88.
88.
And then the first three-peat happened
Year
when
of
I
the
was
Dragon.
a young child. And then when I was old enough to appreciate it, I watched the second three-peat and then the first three-peat of Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then right as that's happening, my love for classic basketball gets sparked by NBA Street Volume 2.
Yeah.
Which to this day irrefutably is the single best basketball game
they're
ever
like
made.
break dancing and shit.
But that's not even why I loved it. I loved it because in hands it feels better than every other basketball game ever made. It feels perfect. And then it had every single legend of the sport you've ever heard of in it. And that's how I found out who everyone was.
Yeah.
Like, I knew who the guys were that were legendary while I was alive watching it as a kid. And then I really learned who everyone was that mattered. Like fucking, like Pete Maravich and shit. Oscar Robertson and guys like that. Dudes that were from before my time.
Plus,
I learned because of that game.
Plus, you could throw the ball up over somebody's head, slide under their legs, and then catch the ball.
Well, if you really want to cheese the game, there's two moves that are the perfect, just this game is smoked and it doesn't matter what difficulty it is. And it's you have L and R and whatever trick button, and you set that to the two best moves in the game are both of Stretch's go-tos, because Stretch is a god. He's the coolest motherfucker in the game. And it's the fro fake, which is where you face a guy head on, you do a two turbo button and a trick, and he throws the ball over his head, over the other guy, and runs around him and keeps momentum. And it takes that much time. Whereas some of the other tricks
he puts it in his afro?
No, he just flips it over his head, and it's that fast. Just whoop, and I'm by you. And it can't be blocked by anybody. It doesn't matter stats. It just breaks the game. It goes over the guy in front of you, and you now are past that defender. And it's the only trick that matters. And then right after that, you're in the paint, and you do the same turbo buttons and like shoot, and you do his dunk, the stretch, which is a 360 between the leg dunk, and it will never miss. And you just have your guy that you make, who has max stats, and stretch on your team, and you pass between them, and you just do fro fake, stretch dunk, and you will beat every team. You'll never lose.
Are you ready to fuck this ass?
and then when you're playing defense, because there's no fucking rules, you just go stand under your hoop and stand there and wait for them to shoot the ball,
and then you press
do
Y,
a turbo Y.
Yeah.
So you jump up and grab the ball and catch it. Then you just run up, fro fake, stretch dunk.
I don't see why they don't do that in the NBA.
Because I know, dude. I've never seen a fro fake.
I've never seen
NBA.
a fro fake.
You got to watch the Globetrotters.
Yeah.
It's the only one.
Which is such
the longest
bogus
time,
basketball.
Like when I was a
It's
kid,
great.
up until I was like, I'm not even kidding, like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
I literally thought that the Globetrotters
Were the best team in the world,
Were
and
just
how are
like
they not
you
the
had the NBA.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Nobody even touched the Globetrotters.
You didn't realize it was all fucking trash.
It was until I was like 12 or 13.
It's like a circus. It's all just trick shit, and the
well, they
team they're
came
playing
to
is garbage.
They came to Oswego when we were kids.
It's always
Yeah,
like
they
the,
did, yeah.
the
Yeah.
it's always the worst.
I
It's like the
wasn't a
same.
kid, but-
they play against
Yeah.
one team. Like it's always the same.
They always
team, I
played
think.
some shit team they took on the road with them that was garbage.
It was like the
Good trivia
Washington
question.
Generals
because
or
it
something,
was
isn't
a
it?
work, my
Yeah,
friends.
yeah.
It was a work.
That's a wicked good trivia question.
Isn't
though.
it like
Who's
the
team that
Washington Gen?
Why do you
if I
think
get
they
that
never
right-
lose, bro?
If I get that right, that's gonna be a problem.
that team that the Globetrotters play against, their record has to be a
Oh yeah, it's got to be so
0
bad.
and like 7 billion or some bullshit.
Oh, that's so funny.
It is the Washington Generals. In fact, why did I
you
know this?
that? That's so stupid. Okay, so again, to
Useless trivia.
shift gears, because we went into a good tangent on that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go get a beer real quick, and then I want to talk about the big important shit going on with MMA right now, which is the union stuff. I've been waiting to talk to you guys about how you feel about.
Oh yeah,
the
you're
union
gonna
shit.
be filling me in completely. 'cause
Okay,
I haven't been
that's
following
cool.
it at all.
I'm gonna go get a drink.
Also,
I'm
want
gonna
to talk about
Does
next
anybody
gen.
need a drink
I'm gonna
while I'm
eat,
out there?
like, a slice or two of pizza real quick.
Do we want to take 5 then?
Yeah, let's take like a 5 or 10 or.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Let's
Yeah.
take a 10 or 6.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Prove it?
Do it again.
That it's rubber?
It's fucking wild.
It is rubber. See?
What a nightmare.
Are you doing that?
Because it's rubber.
It's fucking crazy.
Okay, so
Do it again for me
I'll
again
just do it
later.
one more time. There we go.
yeah, that's nice.
It's so sick.
You should do it. You should do it
One more time.
bro.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
one
you should do
more
it one more time.
Are you seeing this?
Yeah, I've seen it before
Oh
though.
my
Yeah.
God.
You can do it with pencils. Did you know that?
Later.
It
don't
works better with pencils.
Later.
I think
We'll do that later.
We'll do that later. Yeah, that's gonna blow your mind.
It's gonna be. I can't fucking wait.
Okay,
It looks like this.
so what we left off on was getting into the whole fighter union thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you remembered.
So what's going on is
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
there's like a court case going on that nobody's talking about, and I want to be clear, I'm not some expert on this field. I don't know much about it. I'm not a fighter. I'm damn sure not a pro fighter. I don't work in MMA.
We only
I'm
fight
just
in,
a diehard fan.
we only fight in
dog cages in UFC 4. Yep, and it's only stand and bang.
Is that what you guys were doing all day?
Francis Ngannou versus Mark Coleman.
We
only.
played Streets of Rage 2 and we lost.
We got to the last stage and got smoked, but yeah, Streets of Rage 2. The problem is when you play as Max and you get a hold of the guy's back and you do the jumping atomic drop, it is one full health bar of damage even on bosses. Mm-hmm. It's just so overpowered. But getting it to happen, sometimes the game gets real scummy and it just won't happen.
You gotta get
as long as
grappled.
yeah.
That's the key.
But anywho, so Luke Thomas, is that his name?
Yes.
He's like an MMA reporter and stuff, right? Yeah. Luke Thomas was on Rogan recently, and they were talking about unionization of fighters, and he was saying how he believes that it is absolutely not. It's not only inevitable; it's happening now.
Yeah, a union is 100% necessary, I think.
I mean, it's undeniable at this point. Yeah. But so
every other sport has that.
Yeah, every other legitimate sport has either a players' association or a union.
The thing that's weird that I thought was weird is that like you got a lot of guys dropping in and out of the UFC.
Yeah.
So like they have to also drop in and out of that union all the time too.
No,
so.
well, not necessarily.
Isn't
necessarily.
it just a fighters union?
A fighters union would not be UFC's. It would have nothing to do with
just
UFC.
Be part of that union.
It's just
then...
anybody that becomes a professional fighter registers to be in the union, and once you're unionized, you have union protections.
Dude,
it is literally mandatory.
I think bowling works that way.
Everything does.
So you could never even. I don't even think if you are a league bowler, like locally, you are in that like part of the. They register you as like some part of some sort of union or something.
Shit, Taekwondo did that. If you wanted to compete in tournaments, you had to register with Kukawan.
Yeah, it's so that.
Yeah,
well,
it's
basically
that was like
standard.
children had to get. It's like when I was 10, I had to get an ID card. If I want to go to a tournament, oh, here you go. I'm in. That's who I am.
So, not to go too far into that tangent because there's kind of a lot to go over with this, but would that were there protections or anything from being part of that?
Mostly insurance purposes.
Like insurance purposes, insurance protections.
So you paid, it was like a yearly fee, and if you went to a tournament and you were part of the union, you didn't have to pay extra to get in. Something like that.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was something like that where it's
it's just something that gave you a safeguard.
But then you also
of participating at this level.
It was like any legitimate tournament is gonna have that
anyways.
Anyway,
yeah,
you're gonna have that.
They do that because if they didn't, there's unions.
My question is, would they limit how many professional fighters they could have on this union? You know, that's
doubtful. There would just be credentials. Like you'd have to have a certain amount of amateur fights or something. You know what I mean? You'd have to be able to it would be just like with a regular union. Like I can't just go get in the welders union tomorrow. I've never welded once. I'd have to do an apprenticeship. I'd have to get licensed as a welder, and then I'd have to apply for a union. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the same thing. You could train to fight, but you'd have to do amateur fights to a certain amount of fights or hours or rounds in the cage or some shit. And not necessarily.
It's like flying, dude.
I would assume you'd have to win
a number of
fights.
flight hours.
I would assume you'd have to win fights.
Skydiving
also.
too.
Yeah.
Because the union is probably only going to there won't be a union at the amateur level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
but there would be a union at the pro level. So anywho, moving
so now
on.
You're
There's a lot
into the
to talk
union,
about.
which means
And
when
that
the
once
UFC
you're
hires you,
unionized, they have to negotiate by your union's terms.
yeah.
So you'll never see any. Here's a couple things that'll go away when there's a union, guaranteed, because they're just unacceptable for fighters. You will no longer see top fighters making $35 million for one fight while the bottom guy makes 10 and 10.
Right.
That's over with. The top fighter might still make $25 million, but that bottom guy is guaranteed way more money.
Here's a question. How long is this Reebok deal in effect?
It's supposed to end in
soon,
2021,
right?
And then they're switching to Venom.
So the issue with that is
It's going to be sick.
Nope.
if these fighters unionize, you probably aren't going to be able to support that main sponsor and also deal with
Venom
how
deal's
much you have to
over.
pay.
If the union when the union
Yeah.
happens, that goes away because it
can't
is
happen.
in direct conflict with fighters' rights.
Because the fighters union is going to allow those fighters to have their own sponsors.
So
again,
okay,
most
so
likely.
let's go over a couple things.
That's what I missed.
So here's the deal. The reason this is going on, okay? So Luke Thomas brought this up on Rogan. Rogan had absolutely no clue it was even going on. Because why would he? Not because he's a shill. I don't think he is. I think he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And he doesn't realize how dire the situation is. Because he doesn't have the information, and that's not his fault.
It's
Luke
also not
Thomas
really
is
out
reporting
there.
it.
The
and
only way you
does
could
know.
the only way you can know that is if you saw the fighters' paychecks or if the fighters told you
Yes.
what they were making.
So here's the thing. So what Luke Thomas brought up is that there's currently a court case going on against the UFC specifically, and it's trying to get them classified not as a monopoly.
An oligopoly.
No, it's not
I feel
oligopoly,
like
but
this-
I love that word. But it's not that. It's trying to get them classified as basically a monopoly because they're the only real game in town where you can make any kind of life-changing money, like career money. Because like at Bellator, there's a couple stars that make big money, but everybody else is making poop. And everywhere else, everybody else is making poop except for a couple big stars. But the UFC is obviously the biggest game in town. They have the biggest roster of any fighting organization at a professional level globally by
all the best
thousands of
venues.
fighters. They have all the best venues. They have everything. They have everything. They have all the resources to change it, but it's not in their business interest to change it. They will not. They are not breaking laws per se. The problem is that the UFC is structured in a specific way so that it incentivizes fighters not to unionize at the risk of their career. Because there is no game in town where you can get that level of exposure and fame and that level of money. There just isn't. There's only the UFC. So if you're going to fight for the UFC, then you are incentivized not to unionize. Because if you mention a union, then the matchmakers, whether anybody likes it or not, it's fucking provable. And it's being proven in court right now that if you mention publicly unionization of fighters, the UFC starts booking you fights rapid fire against your worst nightmare opponents, the worst matchups, and they do everything in their power to try to leverage against you so your career's fucked and you get booted.
They go, oh, you're 1-3. Here's Francis Ngannou.
Yep, exactly. You're 3-0, you're 4-0, and you're a good fighter, and you just mentioned unionization on Ariel Helwani's podcast. Now you're fighting Francis Ngannou, and then when you're done with him, you're fighting fucking
Curtis Blades.
whoever. Yeah, Curtis Blades. And it's like
Greg Hardy.
And people go, well, they were moving up the ranks. It's like the guy was ranked 25 though.
Yeah,
and you
well,
put him
they-
against
I mean,
a top
they-
10.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that serious. I mean, it wouldn't be fighting fucking Francis
No, because he's
got
literally
guys-
ranked number one.
He's got
right
guys
now.
to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Francis Ngannou is the number one ranked heavyweight right now.
I think you're
I
correct.
think it's Stipe and then Francis again.
So that's why you see a lot of guys like make their names in the UFC and then go to Bellator.
And then go to Bellator, where they can make real money once they have a name. Yeah.
That's what Corey Anderson did.
That Corey Anderson just did it and is doing it successfully.
Yeah.
However, that is not how the sport should be organized, and everybody knows it. There is no argument for that.
I think what's crazy to me.
It would be smart if they could buy Bellator and go, hey, this is our like farm system. You win a couple fights here, you move up to this promotion. Like you could almost have
problem
like
with
an
that-
amateur thing before UFC.
I hear you. The problem with that is if UFC owns it, they're just going to do the same pay structure down there, but with even less payday.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what needs
Well, if they unionized, it would have to be all under the same thing.
Sure. If once they unionize,
Because that fighters
who
union
knows?
would have to deal with Bellator too.
They deal with everybody, and that's why it's not to single out UFC, because this is a problem at every organization. However, the UFC is the most they're the most visible, most powerful opponent, and openly opposing of a union because it would hurt their bottom line. They make more profit on the end of the day if there's not a union because they control fighters' fates and they control their pay. So there's a court case going on trying to do that. If that court case wins against the UFC, the UFC's fucked. There will be a players' association or a fighters' union. Like, it's undeniable.
That was you.
Yep.
My
Yeah, we're
phone's
good.
on silent.
So, yeah, it's just my wife.
That's what they all say.
Yep, it was actually
it's your boy
us.
toy.
I'm actually being blackmailed for ransom.
It's his boy toy.
It's my boy toy. So it's Mark. No. Yeah, if it was my boy toy, I would just say it because Stace knows I'm fucking guys. She doesn't care.
We don't care either.
Dude, that was an actual. No, I know no one would, but Stace, when we first started dating, me and my wife, my friend Mark, who's like one of my best friends, you guys know him, Mark Forbes. We had Stace. At least we think we do. She'll probably say no, but we fucking did. We had her convinced we were actually fucking. Mm-hmm. And when Mark started dating his girl, Megan, we also had her convinced we were fucking and like laid it out to them. Like, so here's the deal. This is my best friend, Mark. And we
dock
have a sexual relationship.
regularly.
We dock. We space dock. We do a lot. We do our sex position we created, which is called an L7, which is two guys. L7, and you do a 69, but you overextend and eat each other's butts.
Okay.
So you go past the, you know what I mean? It's L7. I don't know. Because you have to L. You know what I mean? You have to L. Yeah, you do it on your side, sure. But yeah.
You decide to do that.
Anywho, it's just a quick side note, funny joke, because it got brought up because my wife texted me. But yeah. No. So we had them both convinced we were fucking. And
You have me
obviously-
convinced.
Yeah, I know. I did, yeah.
And they were like, okay
And
with
I'm
it.
never I will definitely not say on the air whether or not we've actually had sex. You just figure that out on your own.
I mean, it doesn't hurt if you do it once.
It doesn't matter. Like this is the thing is that it's like we might as well all assume you have, and then we can just ignore it.
And you can
forever.
just ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But there's no tension. We're just they fuck.
No. No. Okay. So
There's nothing wrong with experimenting, dude. I mean, if
There's
you-
nothing wrong either way.
L7.
Although it is a joke, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, it's just fucking
I don't-
around.
that's weird, though,
We were
because-
just trying to troll our wives. That's all.
And they were like okay with it and everything.
Stace was like, "Is that fucking real?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay."
All right.
But to be fair, at the time that I was trying to convince her that, we weren't even like dating yet. We had just started hanging out.
That's
so
how
it
you
was
locked her
kind
in.
of like. It was kind of like
She
if
was-
I was.
she's like, I'm
she
gonna
was
flip
be
one of those
like,
gays.
whatever. She's gonna flip one of them. She's like, I can flip this. Baby. Yeah. I'm better. She's in her head. She's going. There's no way Mark's.
It always feels good when you flip one.
Oh my god! And that joke has ran for our whole lives together. Of
What if
Mark
you guys
telling
just-
Stace like Dave really likes it when you do this in bed, and she's just like,
How do you know
my
that?
God.
Like-
Yeah, but he's way off the mark. But, he's just
what
fucking
happens
with
if like
her.
you guys one day, you just do the L7, right? And you love it. Right?
I
It's
know,
like
right?
fucking like
Me
the
and Mark
shit.
do it because we feel we have to once.
Yeah.
Because we talked such a big game
And
about
then
it,
you
and we
get
do it, and
locked
we
in,
love it,
and
and,
then
we're
it's-
like, oh no, we're definitely not going to be able to stop doing
This
this.
is not good.
How are we going to explain that we actually went there?
You just keep doing what you're doing. You just
just
keep telling
don't
it
tell
like
them.
they're jokes.
Yeah,
you
they
just-
don't have to
yeah,
know.
you
They
just
already
tell
know
them
you're
it's a
fucking.
joke. And then one day they walk in on us actually doing an L7, and
they
go,
can't-
and they can't be mad.
They can't be mad.
They could never be mad because we're like, we fucking told you. We told you.
It's the perfect crime.
We told you. We did this.
Dude, we figured out adultery.
Yeah.
All right, now back to the unions.
Okay.
You establish
So-
it ahead of time is what you do. I
Yeah,
think.
and that's what we've always maintained.
Yeah.
So that eventually, when we start having sex for real, we get out of jail free.
Yeah.
We told you.
Yeah.
You fucking said yeah. Okay, so union stuff.
I found
okay,
the clip
so,
for this
Sidebar.
episode.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
L7.
That's what I was thinking.
L7.
Too. I was like, L7 is a no-brainer for this. Okay, so the union stuff though. So Luke Thomas was saying that he believes there will either be a fighters association, like a players association, or a union. I'm not sure. For me personally, I haven't researched it enough. I'm not sure. Excuse me. I'm not sure what the difference is between the two, a players association and a union. I'm not sure. I'm assuming they function in practice similar. Like they end up with the same goal.
thing.
I'm pretty sure the same thing,
More
right?
or less. It's probably just called something else.
It's just, yeah, there's got to be some difference, but I don't care. Bottom line, it's a union. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because not only is the UFC on the the razor's edge of having a union, possibly forced on them, and because of this court case, it may legitimately get forced on them because of this court case, some form of a necessity to mandate rights for fighters because those rights are not being given the way they should be given,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's details that there's no way I'm going to be able to get into, so I'm just going to kind of skim and move on. While this is going on, obviously Andrew Yang, who was a presidential candidate and is, seems like a smart dude, but he's kind of choosing politically to die on the hill of fighters' rights as well as pro wrestlers' rights. Because while this is going on, the WWE is getting the most heat I've seen them get in
Because they're
maybe my lifetime.
they're reaching way out of their range.
The reach is so blatantly unacceptable that it's like company damaging that they're even trying to go there, which is it's finally being exposed, which I'm sure WWE does not like that this is becoming public info of how they operate as a business.
That's how you were telling me the other day about how they own fucking what's his name?
Twitch
Xavier
channels,
Woods.
yeah.
Xavier Woods has his YouTube channel and he has
Yes.
to cut a check to the WWE.
He doesn't cut a check. So
No,
what
they
happens
take
is
it?
WWE owns Up, Down, Down because he is. So this is why this I know a little bit more details of, and this is scum, dude. So if you signed with WWE,
Is he using? Here's a question: Is Xavier Woods using the names Xavier Woods
Nope.
on his YouTube channel?
he doesn't say
Because
the name.
okay, I was thinking because they do own the names,
They do.
which
But-
and Brock Lesnar just got his name got back or some shit.
He owns his name,
WWE
yeah.
had owned the copyright
And
to
he
the
took him to
name or
court and
something?
was like, "You're out of your mind."
Because it's my name, my birth
and
name.
Brock, I don't know, will ever go back to WWE because of the way the company's
But why didn't
looking
the
right now.
UFC have an issue with that? If they could just bill him as Brock Lesnar, you can't just change his name
Because it's
they-
his real name.
Yeah, so the WWE
And there's nothing WWE could do about it. But
Yeah,
they
like-
do own likenesses and stuff like that.
Right.
They own character likeness and shit. And it's just a gray area for them to be able to control people's fates if they don't
They
want to
also-
play ball.
did the opposite with the UFC. When Lesnar came back to WWE, he basically dressed as a UFC fighter.
Yes. And had sponsors and shit that when he went to UFC, he was just scot-free. He didn't have to do the Reebok shit. He just still had his fucking JJ shit on.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, dude.
It's sort of similar. It's not. It's a little more extreme, but it's similar to what the NCAA does with their college athletes.
That's a whole different scumbag move, too.
Yeah.
We don't even have to get into that, but they basically go, everybody's sponsored, the school's sponsored by Adidas. We get $1 billion a year from Adidas. And if a player gets caught getting a penny, they're kicked out of school and off the team and they can never compete again.
But they all do.
Go fuck yourself.
They all do, though. They all have
scum.
there's boosters like motherfucking crazy.
Well, there's
Yeah.
that whole thing. And
Or
I want to get back to the union
They
thing.
should
with,
just get paid
Yeah.
because they're fucking world-class
the
athletes.
the sports that are on TV, like that are televised, you should be paid.
Yes,
Like,
it's not debatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anywho, so back to the WWE thing. So, WWE, the way their business model works is when you get signed to WWE. Now, real quickly, we'll acknowledge together the fact that it's obvious. WWE is the biggest dog in town by 100 miles globally in the wrestling market. And the number 2 is New Japan. And New Japan has incredible product. Their product is as good as it gets.
Right.
But as far as the size of the business,
Scope
there
of
just
the-
isn't anything fucking close to
Until
WWE.
the AEW video game comes out.
Until that's a whole different conversation.
over
But
the
yes,
I hope it still looks like the old games.
it's not gonna. It's gonna have modern graphics, but in hands it better. It has to feel like No
64
Mercy
bit.
or it's gone. It doesn't. No wrestling game will matter again unless in your hands it feels exactly like you're playing No Mercy.
Just remaster No
If
Mercy.
people can't figure that out, there will no longer be wrestling games that are accepted by fans.
Yeah.
And that's how it is right now.
Yeah.
You know, who the fuck played 2K20? It came out broken and they just never fixed it and went, just have it
I
broken.
haven't played one in like 6 years.
Yep.
I played 16, I think. was the
Again,
last one.
not the point.
Yeah, same.
So
that was fun.
So WWE is the biggest game in town, no question. Everyone knows it. If you want to make the most money, you have to go there. You don't have a choice. So, and AEW is making that a little easier. New Japan's making it a little bit easier, but still the point stands. WWE doesn't even acknowledge anyone else and stands above the rest in their own heads too. So they could never argue in court that they're not the biggest dog in town and monopolize that top tier where the career money is. They could never argue it because they openly acknowledge it themselves.
Right.
That's all they say, you know? So they would lose that battle. So when you work for WWE, you sign on as an independent contractor, which means they can't tell you shit, whether they like it or not. On an independent contractor deal, you are working for them and your independent contractor status protects you. It means that if you wanted to go work for another company, you could. If you want to have a YouTube channel that you blast and it's all you can. All that stuff, right? You have protections.
Right.
What WWE is protected from, because you're an independent contractor, is they can just hire and fire you at will, willy-nilly, with no reason. They don't need a reason. They can just go, we're done working with you. Bye. Right?
Yeah.
And they don't have to offer you any kind of benefits packages. They don't have to offer you a 401k. They don't have to offer you anything. And they can just sign you on deals that aren't regulated by anything. So you can have two guys come from Ring of Honor with the same credentials, trained from the same school, with the same accolades, the same amount of fame, and one can get signed to a $500,000 a year deal for 5 years, and one can get signed to a $50,000 a year deal for 5 years for just no reason. Because they just decided that this guy's going to get paid this guy's going to get paid this. It's just whatever they feel like.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, usually it's like a negotiation thing too.
Sure. Yep. Now, where that's sketchy is WWE is doing the scummiest thing you can do, which is signing guys to independent contractor deals with none of the protections for the wrestler that they should be given by being an independent contractor, but all of the protections that WWE gets if you were an employee of theirs, which means they want you to have no protections on the deal and they want to own your likeness. They want you to have a no-compete clause so you can't go anywhere else. You're exclusive to them. So basically, they're making you sign on as an employee, but without having to offer you any employment protection or benefits.
Yeah, you're like a per diem employee.
Yeah, but that's scum. Mm-hmm. And recently what sparked this is, one, Andrew Yang is obsessed. The rest of his career now, everything he does is focused on fighting for pro wrestlers' rights and MMA fighters' rights. It's all he's working on now. And so what recently sparked this that's huge and looks real bad for WWE, because it's very obvious that this is what happened, is a main roster star, female, I believe she wrestled under the name Zelina Vega, right? Had a YouTube or Twitch. I think Twitch. She had a Twitch page.
Yeah, I want to say
that she got over. Also, WWE thinks that they can argue that because she got famous in WWE that they own her. That's fucking fake, because she's an independent contractor. She got herself over because she's the fucking talent. There is no such thing as anybody getting over if the talent doesn't go out there and get themselves over.
Yeah.
You cannot manufacture a star as the company. The star manufactures themselves only.
And what did they?
Period.
They cut her, or they tried to take money from her?
WWE
They're trying to
released
claim
a statement saying if you are signed to us, you have 90 days to sign over the rights to all of your third-party income, or you're fired, basically.
Right.
You either sign over or you're released. And so what you ended up with was people speaking out going, kiss my ass. I built my channel. I built my name. I'm not signing over the rights to my YouTube channel. Well, you pay me $30 a year that I can't live off of, and my YouTube pays me $450,000 a year. So kiss my ass. You know what I mean? And so you have people finally taking a stand and going, this ain't happening. Zelina Vega, they're putting that pressure on her, and she posted that she supports unionization and was like, and also Paige, who's a huge star, very huge star, is very open about the fact that she's not signing, they can go fuck off. And she supports unionization. And when she posted that, Zelina Vega commented on it being like, yup, also learning about
Was Paige back or no?
No, but she's technically signed to the company. But all she does now is Twitch stream and YouTube. And they're trying to make her sign over all. And so what their deal is, they're trying to make people do, is you sign over the rights to the ownership of your third-party income-generating social media accounts.
Yeah.
If you sign with them, they own your accounts.
That's insane.
Even though you're an independent contractor, and all of that money without you having even any sight of how much money there is, you don't even get to see the info on the financials of your accounts anymore. All that goes to WWE, and then they cut you a percentage check of your profits and keep the rest of the money.
I remember there was a thing with that, and I don't want to go back to the NCAA, but I will for a second, because there was a thing about that. It was like 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago. There was a player for like a football team, Division I, not a superstar player or anything, but he was a musician in a band. He was in this band before he was a college football player. Sure. Under the NCAA's flag or whatever, umbrella. And they were trying to sue him, an 18-year-old kid, sue him for money because, like, after the first football season was over, they played a concert at the college.
And made money.
And made a ton of money. And they were like, no, you're with us now, so you have to give us a percentage of that. Or you're kicked off.
Did they win that?
No, I don't think they did.
I was like, how could they?
I don't think he ended up...
But they'll just kick him off the team.
But also, how can WWE win this shit?
They can't. It's obviously scum. They can't.
There's no way
the only way they win is if wrestlers do what Andrew Yang is going after.
Yeah, the problem is they don't want to speak up against it.
They don't want to speak up because they're fired if they do.
Right. And then they lose their channel.
That is now irrefutably proven.
They lose their socials. They would lose their Twitch channels. They would lose all that shit, right? Because there would be intellectual property under WWE's name by that contract.
Yep.
What they ended up doing was making it so if you're going to have a Twitch stream or a YouTube channel and you're a college athlete, you can't mention at all
that you're an athlete.
You can't even mention that you go to the school because you're there under an athletic scholarship.
Yeah, it's such bullshit.
Like, it's fucking insane. And it's like, do you
it's
need all the
money? You can't be allowed to make money if we don't get all the money.
Yeah, they need all the money.
They're trying to make sure that
that's
they
what they think.
Some cut of whatever you're doing.
They just don't want anybody making money unless they make it.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
So what's happening now with the WWE is they have a lot of wrestlers getting ready to bounce. And it's going to change the landscape because
you're gonna get a lot of guys
like a lot of
going
big
to
names
AEW
and stuff.
Yep. Well, yeah, a few. I mean, Paige is a massive name, Hall of Fame level name, as far as the women's revolution of wrestling that happened in the 2010s.
Yeah.
And I promise you, she is going to release from her contract because she's not going to give up her rights. They can get fucked. And if they try to stop her, she can sue them and win. Because that's you're riding a real thin line with labor laws when you're doing stuff like that. You know, especially because they can prove definitively that there is no way to compete with WWE.
I think the only way that I could see the argument for the WWE is if they specifically were like, if like let's say you had the New Day dressed as the New Day,
right? If they were in
streaming
character.
and like in character and stuff, but you're only entitled to like a percentage of that specific instance.
Yeah, but
to the fact
they're
that
not doing the work to facilitate
they have
that
nothing
product.
to do with it.
They have
Exactly.
nothing to do with it, so they're not entitled to that money.
They would
other
only
than
be-
licensee money from their likeness.
The likenesses is the only thing you'd be getting.
Yes. That I could understand, but they don't want that. They want full ownership, all money, and then they'll cut you what they think is a safe percentage.
Right.
And who's to say what that number is?
Do they not give their performers insurance or anything?
Nah, no.
I don't think they cover anything really.
They
Well,
cover
cover
people
like medical.
selectively.
Yeah.
So if someone gets injured and reports it, they'll help. But generally speaking, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just not. You got to understand the way the industry is.
It's been
is
bad for a
leveraged, real bad. It's so anti-workers.
Yeah.
And
Well, not to mention
it's
they
so desperately.
Is that why it seems like? And this is somebody that doesn't pay attention. And hasn't ever paid attention as thoroughly as either of you. But is that why it seems to like a casual viewer, no one fucking recognizes anybody ever because it's so cutthroat? Like I could recognize like maybe 10 people in the WWE at any given time, but it seems like a lot of people. It just like rotates through.
I could see that as a
I
casual
get what
I mean.
viewer for sure.
As a casual viewer, you're going to be going, "Who are these fucking guys?"
Right.
The people that
If you
follow
stop
it
watching
religiously,
for-
like we do,
If you stop watching for 6 months, though,
you're
going to come
see
back
tons
in.
of guys you don't have a clue.
you're gonna
Yeah,
be like,
yep,
yeah.
100%. Yes, because people move in and out. Yeah, 100%, and it's because
part
they
of
get
it is
injured.
also they're trying these new things with these characters. Like, hey, maybe this angle will work. Maybe this character will work with this guy. I don't know.
It seems more.
A lot of the
There's
time,
so
it
much
doesn't work
politics,
out.
more
man.
fast than it.
There's so much
used to be.
politicking behind the scenes too, though.
It's
And
been
that
it's been
hurts it
bad
too.
for a long time.
a
though.
long time.
Like, plus it's like you're working almost every day
Yep.
as a professional.
And they
wrestler.
try to argue that they're not a sport, but then they have athletes
They have a bigger schedule than
and they have a
MLB.
crazier schedule than any sport.
And in
it's
baseball,
like,
you're playing
it's
every
just
day, but
them
it's not a
being
whole
really smart businessmen that know how to work the system so that they protect their wallets at the expense of all of their athlete pool. And it's not getting tolerated anymore. And the final straw that broke the camel's back was this social media mandate.
It's
that
just
they
overreach.
Forced. It's extreme overreach, and they're going to lose a lot of people because of it. And the big catalyst right now that's sparking the the flame to finally go off and force the change to happen fast is what I was telling you about with Selena Vega, because she posted about supporting unionization, and then 10 minutes after she posted that, WWE posted that they came to terms with the release of Selena Vega.
Yeah.
That's so fucking insane.
So they legit fired her because she wouldn't sign over her Twitch channel that she built before signing with WWE. Yeah,
That's not right.
Yep, it's not right. There's just no argument. It's not right.
Yeah,
and now
it's not.
there's
It's
all these
objectively-
people that are fucking fighting it. And it's like you mentioned the AEW game. So AEW is doing something that has been needed for 20 years?
At least.
Like about 20 years. We've needed to have a wrestling game that's acceptable, that the fans actually want. And what WWE does is the same thing that all sports leagues do, which is they monopolize their game setup. Not monopolize.
They
get
They
exclusive rights.
exclusively
Yeah.
license. So they go 2K games. You get the only license in town to make WWE games. So there's no competition. You can make it as shitty as you want. And if people want to play as The Undertaker, they have to buy your shit lazy game for $60. Mm-hmm. And that has to change.
Look at
You know,
I mean, Madden hasn't been good in like fucking 15 years.
neither is
but
a basketball
it's the only game in town.
Yeah, but it's the only one, so
the
you
only
just
one.
have to get it.
And that's why they stopped making the college sports games, was because they were
Which just
trying to figure
sucks.
out how to they were trying to they were arguing that if you're going to use the player's likeness in the game, they have to be compensated somehow, because NFL players and NBA players get compensated.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, we can't do that. They're just student athletes. It's like, oh, well, then you can't profit off of every single one of them individually.
The thing too,
But
though, is like,
but the NCAA profits off of the student athlete pool.
Right, it was
so
something to
bad,
do
billions of
with-
dollars a year, and they just don't give a fuck, and the players see none of it.
It's because they
Unacceptable.
specifically use, because like with the games they were like, if let's say the three of us played for SU, our names wouldn't be Dave Reid, Jake Jones, or Seth Skinner,
It'd be a
but we
number.
would look identical. We'd be from Oswego, New York. Like
Yeah.
it'd be
And
exactly,
it would be whatever
your
our
tattoos
numbers
would be in the
were.
game.
We would
be
but
like
they couldn't
point
use our
guard
names.
number
Yeah.
13 or
13 or whatever
Yeah.
your number is. Yeah,
And they're
so,
yeah.
so anywho,
Oh, yeah, going back.
What I was talking, yeah, but
But also here's another thing though, is Madden. Like, I play a lot of Madden,
So do I.
so like the game is good enough to where I enjoy playing it a lot.
Yeah,
But it's been that good since like Madden 08 or
Yeah.
06.
it's been like it's been
NBA is a better example.
yeah.
Because the games have been that bad for many years, and there's no
I
competition.
feel like at least Madden is like
It's at a point where like they don't break it entirely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
NBA games are dog shit. I played the newest one the other day at a friend's house, and
It's
the one
so
it's
unacceptable,
just it's so not even.
and
what's
it's
word
the
I'm looking for?
exclusive license is the issue, because when there's no competition, there's no creativity, there's no incentive for making a game that's good.
They want to make the game look cool and look good.
And it
Yeah,
does
but
look
doesn't,
good.
and it,
does
does,
look good.
sure,
But it doesn't play
But
well.
it doesn't matter, dude. Point is, AEW is the best thing to happen to wrestling in a long time, because it's young, driven super fans running a company with the backing of a billionaire who also is a super fan and wants to do it right
Shad
and avoid
Khan.
all the mistakes.
Oh,
Yep.
the guy that owns the Jaguars, and he
Yep.
owns
and he wicked
Liverpool
knows
or
his
Manchester
shit,
or
dude.
something.
He wicked knows his shit. And he is able to be that end-all, be-all guy, but he surrounds himself with geniuses of the business, and he won't make the mistakes.
And they have Jim Ross.
You have Jim Ross. They have, Cody and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are geniuses. And they have,
Jericho.
so many guys. Jericho, Jake the Snake Roberts
Cody
is
Rhodes.
behind the scenes. Arn Anderson is behind the scenes. Eric Bischoff's behind the scenes. You can say whatever you want about Bischoff, but he is the reason, irrefutably, WCW beat WWE for 82 weeks or some shit, right? It is the reason. They had talent. The talent is always going to be the end all reason.
It's
That's why
also-
you have to support them.
And
You
it's
know
also,
what I mean?
you can tell like they're shooting for an older audience too, like the old school wrestling
Sure,
audience.
yeah. But so what they're doing that's important, to me, the most important thing they're doing is they're giving people an option to go somewhere else other than WWE and actually make a living that's acceptable. However, I think the bigger thing they're doing, and maybe I think that because I'm a gamer, so it matters to us more, is there hasn't been an acceptable wrestling game, let alone a good one, in almost 20 years. And they're putting out a game for actual fans that are gamers. And they openly acknowledged that they're putting out a game that they brought in and hired the director responsible for No Mercy, which is the best wrestling game ever made.
Yeah, I agree. I think the last one I really, really enjoyed was like the first or second SmackDown versus Raw.
SmackDown vs. Raw, yep.
Like 06 and 07.
Yeah.
When did like Here Comes the Pain come out? Was it
04, 03.
Something like that. 03. Yeah. And those games were good, but No Mercy just, I mean, everybody knows it. You know what I mean? Like No Mercy, WCW versus NWO Revenge. It's the Aki Entertainment
The
era.
Nitro one.
No, not Nitro.
World Tour.
There was World Tour was the first one, and then there was WCW versus NWO Revenge was the second one. Then WWE got the licensing with Aki Entertainment.
And then
they
was
did WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. But aside from those two,
Def Jam Vendetta.
Def Jam Vendetta was randomly made off of that engine. But aside from those, in Japan was a series called Virtual Pro Wrestling. That's the same engine.
That's the one that you talk about. It's now every single time, 4 times, because we talked about this. It's the only one that you can only get in Japan, and you have to emulate it.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because
Well, they have Fire
everyone
Pro
says it's one of the best
You can
games
get
ever.
Fire Pro.
Fire Pro Wrestling's amazing, but it's not. That's not what
That's
we're
the
talking
one
about.
I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah, Fire Pro Wrestling is good, but Virtual Pro Wrestling is what you're thinking of, where you can only get it in Japan.
Yeah.
It's everyone says it might be the best wrestling game ever made. If No Mercy is not your pick, it's Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. But
Have you ever played it?
I have. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. And the wrestlers that are on
I don't know
the
why I
roster
asked,
is why.
obviously.
Yeah. But the guys they have on the roster, though, it's like if you know anything about Japanese wrestling, they have all Japan guys and New Japan guys and Pro Wrestling Noah guys at the best time period ever for those guys. Like they have Kenta Kobashi and like all these big stars from Japan from the 90s and the 80s and the 2000s.
That's what
like
you
up
want,
to that
though.
point.
Like, that's why I liked Here Comes the Pain, because it was right in that era where like it was the end of like The Rock and Stone Cold and like some of those guys.
So they were still in it, but they also had
also got like the new era of Lesnar and Orton.
Also, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 has like MMA fighters that were in Pride and shit at the time when it was first popping off. So I'm pretty sure they have like Baz Rutten and shit in it. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man.
We watched YouTube videos of that one last time we saw it.
I think so, yeah.
Because we just wanted to see the roster, basically.
Yeah, because we wanted to look at the roster. Yep. But anywho, so going back to the AEW thing, AEW hired the guy that directed those games.
And
themselves. They went out, singled him out, and found him and hired him on to direct the AEW video game.
They like climbed mountains and shit.
Yeah,
and
sure, whatever they did. Yeah,
they found him in like a cave somewhere.
Point is, I don't even think the dude was working on games anymore. And they were like, "We need you to make that game for AEW in the modern era." And he went, "Okay."
He's like,
so AEW's making a wrestling game that will compete with 2K21 or whatever, or 2K22, whenever they just eventually finish the game and put it out. It's gonna be the direct competition with the WWE product,
with a game that already doesn't work.
Yep. And the rumor, and a game that's already broken, and that WWE doesn't care about at all. AEW is going to put out a game where the rumor is they're also going to have. They're going to sign deals with New Japan because of the relationship they already have with New Japan guys in AEW, like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And
so you'll be getting AEW
guys.
and New Japan.
So you're going to get AEW's rosters, New Japan's roster, and all the guys New Japan owns the rights to the likenesses of and stuff, which I believe is like Pro Wrestling Noah and All Japan now. Well, so you're going to get the craziest fucking global roster ever in a No Mercy feeling game.
It's similar to like Lucha Underground, where they had guys like they were AAA, just AAA wrestlers, and you could they could just go interchangeably and perform.
Yeah, that was the one that was kind of like a TV show, right?
Yeah, it
that
was
like followed a storyline.
Yeah, it was on El Rey Network.
Oh yeah, that one was. Yep. Is that still a thing?
No, I don't think so.
They had it on Netflix for a little while.
I was going to say
they watched it. They did. I watched it on Netflix, dude. The product was good.
The ring work was great.
The ring work was high level.
We watched there was the one match that we watched It was the first one that Bill showed me, and it was fucking brutal.
Dude, some of the guys that came from there are incredible. Like I'm pretty sure Pentagon and Ray Phoenix came from there. Morrison was an A-list main eventer there. Ricochet was there. Yep.
He was Prince Puma.
Yep. Yeah, they had a lot of guys from AAA and from New Japan.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio made his return there before he came to WWE, like in the best shape of his life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really good.
But to close, so WWE Union is likely coming. You're going to see a major shift in the wrestling industry because of that. UFC Union is coming, not UFC, but just MMA in general, and that's also super needed.
Does boxing have a union?
Boxing has protections for fighters.
Fucking mess, dude.
Boxing is a disaster, but they have the Muhammad Ali Act.
Yeah.
Which provides protections for fighters to some extent.
Yeah. The issue is it's just corrupt.
I don't know what it is.
Boxing is just super corrupt. I'm not super familiar with the Ali Act either. I believe it's a pay thing. I believe it's a
they have to get paid a certain
legal
percentage.
policy that a certain percentage of profits from a given card have to get split up and paid out to the fighters.
Right. It doesn't matter what promotion it's under.
It doesn't matter what promotion. It's legally mandated.
Sanctioned boxing matches.
Sanctioned boxing match, yep.
That's what I think. Really, I think all that it'd be so easy to do because it's the right thing to do, but also it's easy.
But business is never about the right thing to do morally. It's about how can we maximize our profits.
But you brought it up. The best thing was they were talking about Conor McGregor is supposed to be fighting Poirier in January.
Yeah.
And Poirier's like, yeah, I'll fight Conor. That's awesome. Let's do it. And then Dana's like, all right. Well, we're going to pay you $250,000. I want to pay Conor like $10 million.
Yeah.
And Poirier's like, no, how about you pay me a little more? And then Dana goes public and is like, oh yeah, looks like Poirier doesn't want the fight. And he that's the thing is he's such an asshole. He blackballs his own fighters.
Go fuck yourself.
I hate that. I like Dana White because I like what he's done. But I don't like him when he does stuff like that.
I will never accept the argument that a guy wanting to get paid what's fucking fair means he doesn't want to fight and he's a bitch and he should just fight because he loves to fight. Yeah, no, he fucking shouldn't.
Right.
He should fight for the right pay.
He said publicly, it's not a career. Yeah. It's not a career. It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, Poirier understands that.
Tell that to fighters that train year-round every year.
Well, he understands how much money it's going to make. So he knows that Dana can afford to pay him that much.
Yep. And he wants a cut that's acceptable for the level of fight he's participating in and the level of fighter he fucking is.
Yeah.
It's Poirier, dude.
Yeah,
right. At this point in us talking about this right now, he is officially a legend of the sport.
Yeah,
now,
people aren't
after everything he's done.
It's not like people are necessarily just paying to watch Conor McGregor. They're paying to watch him fight Dustin Poirier.
They're paying because he's fighting Poirier.
Yeah.
Like, people always try to argue Conor could fight a broomstick and people would pay. Bullshit.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Bullshit.
We didn't pay for the cowboy fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay.
We're not going to pay. Anyway.
I wouldn't pay to watch Conor fight some dude who's ranked like 25. That's stupid. The only reason people pay to watch Conor fight is because the person he's fighting is a compelling fight. Right. That's why people pay. They want to see Conor. He's the draw. Don't get that twisted. Yeah. But he's only able to draw that kind of money when he's fighting somebody that's compelling fight for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just the case with anybody though.
Yeah.
Anybody who's big. If you're gonna
To me, dude, when Anderson Silva just fought his final fight against Uriah Hall got paid like $50,000 and Silva got paid like $4 million. How is that allowed? It's crazy.
Especially when you lose.
Yeah. Yep. But the reason why is because there's no union, there's no regulation of pay for fighters, there's no percentage mandate. Yeah.
Well, if you really want to make money, why don't you get a performance bonus? That's what it's there for.
Yeah, why don't you just win fight of the night?
Dude, I hate that.
I'm pretty sure he did say that as well.
Yeah. If you want to get money, you should have gotten a performance
That's what
bonus.
the performance
Knock out of the
bonus
night.
is.
You, motherfucker, decide who gets the bonus.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
fuck yourself. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, you got him.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah. All right.
But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's almost 11.
Yeah, it's
It
11.
is 11. That's 11:08.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually.
That's a good note to end on.
I forgot.
The rubber band trick.
I forgot. I'm over it already.
Ah, fuck you.
It is fucking cool though.
He's right back
Don't
on.
get me wrong,
He's right back on.
It is fucking cool how he can do that.
That's so stupid.
It looks like rubber.
Yeah, I actually totally forgot that we were doing this. I do it all the time.
I feel like you always do that.
I always forget the day of, and I forgot we were doing this until like 3 or 4. When did I message you guys?
I don't know.
7,
So when you got out of work,
pretty much.
No,
11 in the morning. I forgot. So I forgot that we were. So I sent the thing about the New Day being in Gears 5, and
Yeah.
I sent it to you guys. And then it wasn't until I checked my messages again later in the day where you were like, oh, we have to talk about this on the show. And I was like, oh, shit, when are we doing that? And I had to think about it for a second. Oh, 4 hours from now, I have to
Yeah,
I
be
had
here.
no idea what was going on because you were like saying,
yeah,
how
and
you had
and
to
so
work and then
I'm glad you said that because that's the last thing I wanted to talk about. Quick is the shittiness of that situation because that AEW game's coming out. It's going to be one of the best games, wrestling games in 20 years if it is what they want it to be. I believe they're going to try to make it that. We don't know what the end product's going to be. So if it ends up being that, it will be one of the best wrestling games ever made. That's safe to
Probably.
say. If it comes out being what they want it to be, okay? Now, Xavier Woods has Up, Down, Down, which is signed to WWE. I believe he signed the rights over a long time ago because WWE sells Up, Down, Down merch and shit.
yeah, it's
So I'm guessing he signed that over. So you're telling me Xavier Woods, who is like a champion of the gaming community, goes to PAX and shit and competes in Street Fighter tournaments, celebrity tournaments and shit, right? Is going to have to go on Up, Down, Down and play WWE
AEW.
2K21.
Yeah.
That is shit.
instead of
And
fucking,
cannot even acknowledge a comment in the comment section that the AEW game even exists.
Will he not be allowed to play it?
Never on the air. Nope. He'll probably instant get fired if he played it on the air. Yep. Because they own the rights, and the way WWE handles business is no one can ever acknowledge anybody that exists outside the company, any company that exists outside the company.
maybe I don't know. That's a tough decision for them, though, right? Because they understand that they're making money off
in a
of their
business
Yeah.
of YouTube gaming in the wrestling industry, where he kind of, for his channel's monetary benefit, has to play the AEW game when it comes out.
Yes,
he doesn't have a choice.
but that monetary benefit goes to WWE, so
Yup.
they have to understand that.
Yep.
I'll tell
But
you
they don't
one
care.
thing.
They'd rather not make the money and not acknowledge AEW existing.
I'll tell you one thing.
Yep.
I'm really excited to play as Big E in Gears 5.
That's hilarious to me that New Day is going to be in it.
Yeah.
I
What?
think.
Wait, they are? They already
Yeah.
had Batista with the Batista bomb finisher.
Yeah,
Which
no,
is incredible.
All Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi Covington.
Wait, so does that mean that
Kofi Covington.
Kofi Covington
no, that was Kobe.
are gonna be. But the
Wait,
coolest
so
thing.
does that mean that WWE owns Gears now?
No,
That's not how that
no,
works.
I don't think so. It's just a gaming licensing deal thing that they worked out. But anywho, to wrap real quick, I think what's going to happen is Xavier is going to quit WWE.
Yeah,
I think
and
he's
he's just gonna join the COG army.
He's made. Listen, he's made fuck you money.
Yeah.
He's made generational fuck you money off of New Day merchandising and how big New Day is. WWE is breaking the New Day up, which already happened. They split the New Day up.
Wait, really?
That's real. Big E is on SmackDown, and Xavier and Kofi are on Raw. They split the New Day up, even though WWE doesn't want him to do it, Kofi and Xavier go out every week, and on TV when they're out on stage, and they keep getting bitched at for this. They keep like signing to the crowd and saying out loud so people can hear him and shit. Bring back Biggie and like free Biggie and shit like that, because they're going, no, we're a team and you're not going to split us, whether you like it or not. And WWE's going, but we're your boss, so we are. So
Also, it just
they're
doesn't
resisting.
Make any sense to split him in
So
the first place.
Kofi could retire tomorrow when he goes in Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Grand Slam champion. He's Hall of Fame. It's over. He just is.
like the shit that he does in the Royal Rumbles. And
Yeah,
shit
yep. Kofi can retire tomorrow. He's Hall of Fame. He had his world title run. He can retire whenever. He's probably close to being ready. Biggie and Xavier are split. Xavier has up, down, down, which he started before WWE, and can easily win a case to get back if he did sign it over to them. And he built on his likeness, and he doesn't use the Xavier Woods name on air ever. He never mentions it. He goes as Apollo, which was his name in TNA before he was in WWE. So he's already made fuck you money. They're splitting up New Day. Kofi's ready to retire. And AEW is about to put out a game, and the unionization stuff's happening, and they're trying to buy out everybody's YouTubes. I think Kofi's going to quit. Not Kofi. I think Xavier's going to quit rather.
Yeah.
You know,
Biggie doesn't have the channel as much. He's probably just going to stay and do whatever.
I miss, and I know we have to leave.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I miss Enzo and Cass, man. I just watched their debut again.
They're an anomaly because they got nuclear over. Like they were red hot, man. And they weren't the best in the world. Like they weren't the best in the ring. They weren't the best on the mic, although Enzo legit was one of the best on the mic in the company at the time.
Yeah, at the time, for
he
sure.
absolutely was a
They didn't
marvel
have
on
much
the
mic talent, though. They still don't, really.
They still don't, because they don't let guys develop mic talent, because they micromanage every little aspect of every single word out of everybody's mouth. And when people go out there, it's another incentivizing people against doing what they need to do to be the best.
They fired, because they kept Big Cass around for a while.
They fired Enzo because of allegations that got dropped in court, and he cleared his name on. And they never said anything to defend him. They just let him go and said, fuck you. And then they fired Cass because of like a wellness policy violation or some shit like that.
Or
something backstage. I don't know. But either way.
Or they just didn't want to do solo anything with
they just had nothing for
They
him.
already had a
because
big
without
guy.
Enzo, he was...
Who's the other big guy that's there? Shane Carwin?
What?
No, what the fuck's his name?
Oh,
Gabe,
you're thinking
Braun
of Braun Strowman.
No. He has the long hair.
Bray Wyatt?
No.
Drew McIntyre.
Maybe
No.
Drew
Who's huge and jacked and has long hair and
Roman
shit.
Reigns.
No, he wears pants.
Okay.
He's a tall guy.
Tall guy.
Is he thinking
pants.
of Khali?
No, he's a recent guy. I know I'm not crazy. He's kind of like emo looking.
Pants, tall guy. Bray Wyatt?
Emo looking.
Oh my
Bray
god.
Wyatt? It's not Bray Wyatt?
Something Corwin?
Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin.
Was he still around?
Yeah, and Corbin's good, man.
Okay,
and
I like
Corbin's better than Cass.
He's one of my favorites ever.
Baron Corbin's better than Cass, I would say.
Did I call him Shane Carwin?
He did call him Shane Carwin, yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
Something Corbin?
No, but anywho, point is,
I'm like stone sober at this point.
I think that Xavier is going to leave, and I wouldn't blame him. I hope he does. I hope more people do too. Yeah. I think WWE needs to see that wrestlers are going to die on this hill, that you can't just control everything, whether you like it or not.
And I don't.
And they need to unionize. It's time. It was time 15 years ago. It's time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, same for MMA. It's time, man. It just, if you want
There's
to
not as much
act
brand-
like your
there's not as much
product is
brand,
at that sport level, then you are gonna have a union or an association, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and there's not as much brand loyalty as there was.
No.
Because back then it was like there was WCW and WWE. There was guys that were dedicated to that company.
But
It's not
WWE got as scummy and overreaching of control as they are now because there was no competition in town, and they used it against the workers.
Yeah.
But now they can't do that. And it's about fucking time.
Yeah.
And that's coming from the mouth of a guy who's a lifelong WWE fan.
I think that is an overarching theme, though.
Yes.
Like, where there's just, you can't have a monopoly in anything because this is what happens. They treat their employees poorly. They just, it's shady
and then
business
people
practices.
try to act like it works. And it's like, it obviously doesn't. And we're seeing it with these two examples right now, how much broad spectrum in any industry, you just have to have workers' protections, period. Because you can't say, there is no argument to say, companies will do the right thing. No, they fucking won't. And whether you like it or not.
And you need competition.
There's unlimited evidence that they won't. And the evidence is in our face right now with these new examples.
Yeah.
You know? I think there should be a union for every class of employee. And that union, I don't care if you work at a gas station. You're in the gas station employee union then. And that union goes to bat for you to make sure that you have a better deal than just fucking minimum wage, no insurance. Just the company can just piss on you and spit you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest thing that hurts the workforce in our country more than anything is zero protection for low-level workers.
That's why we need Trump.
Yeah.
2024.
Because he's the one fighting for workers' rights, the billionaire guy who screwed over a ton of companies.
He'll be back. He'll be back, dude.
Yeah,
we'll get him back in 2024.
Yeah, I bet he runs again if he's not in prison.
Yeah,
I do.
And if he's alive.
And I think that
If
the
he is,
reason
then you might
he
have
will
Donald
run
Trump
again
Jr.
is because he managed to stay out of prison for 4 years. But I think what's going to happen is when January whatever comes and he leaves the White House.
20th, I think it is. January
Whatever
20th.
it is, yeah. When he leaves the White House, the IRS is going to be going, you ain't going home, you're going with us.
Yeah.
I think that they haven't said as much as they have on him. I think they have him, and they're not saying anything because they're waiting for him to get out of office, and they're going to go, yup, you're mine.
It's going to be super interesting. That'd be so fun.
It's going to be weird, man. And I'm not going to take any personal joy in seeing Trump go to prison because I don't give a fuck.
No, because
I don't think about the guy.
man.
I don't give a fuck about the guy. He's an idiot. I don't care
The
about
guy
him.
can sell a stunner, though.
But he can sell a stunner better than Vince McMahon can.
Yeah, that's probably true. Or The Rock. The Rock was a little bit of an overseller.
Fuck yourself.
He was an overseller, I
And
would
that
say.
will do it for us
The
tonight.
Rock's
Thanks for
oversell was
joining us.
perfect.
You don't
bro.
like with
I
the
love
fucking
the
hand.
V off the hands. That's the best.
You can check us out on ClearShots podcast.com, and in stores now is the Clear Shots podcast. We have flag poles. We don't have a flag, but we have flag pole toppers. Is what I
we
meant to
definitely
say.
don't have those.
We don't have those.
But you put
We
them.
should get those,
You put them on the hood of your car.
You put them on the dashboard of your car. It's a jumping off point.
Yeah.
There is a holiday sale going on though, so you get 10%.
Oh, that's what it was. Holiday sale.
You were close.
I was close. I was almost
Yeah, flag toppers. Pretty close.
I was almost there.
That's
Sorry.
basically the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what would be funny? So you know how like the president's car has the mini flags with the American.
Yeah, for
Be sick. It'd
question
be
mark
sick
reason.
if on the Plymouth Voyager you had a flag of each of our faces on each side of the car. So you were driving down the
Yeah.
street and you could see our flag.
Probably
going.
would also want that car to be bulletproof
Yeah.
if you did that.
Only on
You know
the
what I
side.
mean?
Only on the side with my flag on it.
Yeah, they go, that guy's cool. We got to shoot at this car right now on the side.
Yeah. They're not gonna shoot at Seth. They're gonna shoot at me.
Just
They're like, "Who did you vote for?"
Yeah.
Just got one side of your car bulletproof for some reason.
Amazing. All right. Well, that was
thanks
fun,
for
guys.
coming,
About
man.
time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been wanting to do this again for a while, so we'll have to do it again soon.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
sure there'll be more to talk about as far as the stuff we're all interested in. You know?
Yeah, and this is like, I would rather have, especially with all this COVID stuff going on, I would rather to have old guests instead of new
just
guests.
a couple guys we know are staying safe, you know.
Yeah.
I don't do anything on purpose. I mean, Stace is type 1 diabetic. I have asthma. I'm not going there, you know.
I want to have
We're not
mostly.
taking any risks.
I mean, I work in the emergency room, but
We should get mostly sick
You're
people on.
protected,
I'm
though.
protected.
You know?
Yeah, I wear my glasses.
We should get somebody on that has COVID.
Fail, epic fail.
Should
Get someone on that
it.
has COVID,
Yeah,
and we'll all
currently.
sit, and I'll come on too.
And they're,
even
like,
though I just
coughing.
talked about how much I don't take any chances, and we'll all sit 6 feet away from each other and go. So, how's it feel to be sick with COVID right now?
Yeah.
The guy's
Let's
like, I feel
talk.
great.
I'm all right.
What the fuck ever?
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. ClearShotsPodcast.com is where you'll find links to everything we do. You can check us out on Twitter at ClearShotsPod. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and check us out on Periscope for live videos. If you have anything you want to ask us, send us an email at clearshotspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time.